Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's disappointing. It's a disappointing $38 million box office return, but that's not going to get in the way of the kind of conversation we're going to have. Great to see the great Eric Nagel in the chat. We were waiting, but I will let everybody know we were a couple minutes late because, as I told all the guys, I had a goddamn World Cup soccer game on some window somewhere, and I couldn't find it, and I had to turn it off. And that's what I get for watching soccer. I will never make that mistake again. And Ivan Soto's right. Wrong shirt for this podcast, but that's all right. And Butter Dick Jones is still here, unlike Eric. But if your icon is going to be RC Cola, we appreciate that. In any case, welcome to the Black Cast. For some of you, welcome to the Geekscape Book Club. We're going to talk Supergirl. We're going to talk the Supergirl movie first, and then we're also going to talk about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And my Woman of Tomorrow, of course, is someone who I know appreciates an RC Cola as much as I do. The great David Brody. How are you, sir? I think you're muted.
RC Cola, the fourth best soda when there's only three.
I mean, you're putting Shasta above RC Cola?
I'm thinking maybe Tab slides in third, maybe.
All right. Well, that's going to be a hot take for our morning drive time radio show. We're also going to ask what's your favorite candy bar, but please hold your calls. We're not taking that yet.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, no, not yet. Save it.
Yeah, I got it. I'm ready.
Save it for the D block. And of course, a guy who spent time in the D block, the one and only Count Eric Connor. Is that a stuffed crypto that you have there?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't understand how I even had this in my house, because I don't think this is a new one. This is like old school. My kids are pretty old now. So whatever small child I accidentally took this from, I don't know. I can't really say come by my house. That sounds weird.
No.
I'll send it back to you.
Yeah.
But there was that, find that in your windowless van?
There's a window.
There was a window. Yeah, it's shaped like a half moon. It's the way that all sketchy vans look. Well, we appreciate you being here. That's probably from that Super Friends movie. And if we have a celebrity in the chat, I will say hola creepos to the one, the only, the great Vinny Paulino. You got to give it up to Vinny Carlino and go to thecreepoff.com and vote for Vinny, even though there might have been a little bit of extra setup this week. Tremendous show that they do over there. Great to see you. Ivan Soda's wondering if that's the Cartoon Network crypto. In any case, also with us, and a moment ago he was holding up something even older than that. And this is are those your Supergirl underoos, John Nolan, the Raging Rhino?
Yeah, this is a Supergirl, choose your own adventure book from 1984.
Man, is there a way to go through the twists and turns of that book and tell a story that could break $100 million in its opening weekend?
I don't know, but I'm sure there's probably one that's at least better than the story from this opening weekend.
Oh, he went there. That's right. Because it's wait a minute. I heard a secondary bell. Does that mean that? So I am very excited to talk Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. But if Butter Dick Jones is going to bring up, I'm no Tab fella, but I'm very into Fresca. It's hard to really disagree. How about a Fresca? So in any case, I want to, you know what we'll do? We will go do a little bit of roundtable. We'll do a little clockwise. And the great Jonathan London of Geekscape says, 3 cis male opinions, no thanks. Geekscape is sexist. At least give us Matt Kelly. He didn't see the movie yet, but soon enough. Don't worry. We're just basically double what Jonathan and Ian did yesterday over on Geekscape. So I'm just going to go broad blanket. Speaking of sexist, broad statements that I have here is that I saw Supergirl. I went to the 3 p.m. Thursday IMAX right here in beautiful downtown Burbank. And what I will tell you is that I believe every seat was taken. Now, the box office receipts will tell you that perhaps that is not the way that every showing was of this film, but people seem to be enjoying it. In fact, there was one lady enjoying it way too much who was like lots of like applause at times. That was like, all right, so you liked that, but she was talking back to the screen a little bit. And if you're not Tom Servo or Crow T Robot, I don't want you talking during my movies. But yeah, amen, exactly. So I see this movie and I think, oh, this is fun. I have, it's a fun Supergirl adventure, kind of like how Thor: Love and Thunder was a fun Thor adventure. And some people would see that as an insult. But Eric Connor, as the one who saw Thor: Love and Thunder with me, that my only real complaint was why is it all Guns N' Roses songs from Appetite for Destruction? It's just get something from Use Your Illusions 2 or the Spaghetti Incident.
I mean, in fact, we made our own fan film, which was only Spaghetti Incident soundtrack tracks, especially Charles Manson's penned one. Most appropriately.
Look at your game, girl. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a fact, Jack. So we will go into it. We'll talk about the particulars, what works, what doesn't. But David Brody, I know that I had to go the extra mile to convince you to see this movie after I said, no, I actually liked it. I'm part of the, I don't know what it is, 77% fan audience on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's where I am. I'm not part of the like 54% of the critics. So I wouldn't say I bullied you into seeing it, but there was a lot of peer pressure, wasn't there, Brody?
You did more than that. We'll talk about that later, but I will say that the movie was worth every penny I paid for it.
And that's a fact, Jack. What did you think of it? Just overall, I know you've got your cathartic screed of gripes. Yeah. You've got your 98 grievances and a bitch ain't one.
Maybe. I'll tell you, I enjoyed it on a 6. I'm not going to do the 6-7 thing. I would say like a 6. All right, fine. 6.5, 7. It was a good way to kill a couple hours. It made the popcorn go down easy. It wasn't terrible. I've seen worse. It was better than some of the reviews. Sure. Most of the people I respect liked it. So I was pleasantly surprised, despite the flaws we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Now, I know some of the people in this room maybe didn't like Superman. I preferred Superman to this movie.
Yeah, I liked Superman, but I actually prefer this because Superman
easier on the eyes.
Well, yes, but Superman was too busy, really trying to do so much. Superman was the 10.5 pounds of kryptonite in a 5-pound bag, and I was getting Amazing Spider-Man 2 vibes where they set up 4 movies that they'll never make, but that is neither here nor there. I liked Superman. I liked this as well. I probably preferred the narrative here. Eric Connor, you with it's not everybody knows what he looks like, but I'm glad you came dressed like Matt Drudge. What I knew Nolan would like that, huh? He does look like him, right? But what did you think of Supergirl? And that's just the title. It's not Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We'll talk about that later. What did you think of Supergirl?
I think I'm putting it more 6, less 7. I love her. Jason Momoa showed up, and I'm not sure what movie he was in, but I liked that movie. I thought that I want a hit of whatever he was vaping. That seemed to really cure what ailed him. I just found this one to be kind of, I don't know, maybe a touch glum, as punk rock as she is, and they really are leaning hard into punk rock. And the rest of the movie, I think it suffered from one of the things that has befell many of these movies. It's a boring villain. And I didn't understand what they were up to, what they wanted. And I don't want to go too in the weeds on this yet, but I found myself having a hard time caring. And again, she was great. I liked this sort of spin on Supergirl. When we talk in the book club, it was a solid adaptation in some ways of the original source material. I just found it it seldom really got me. It seldom made me, I don't know, like the popcorn eating was going to happen regardless.
Sure.
It didn't make me stop eating the popcorn. Maybe it was the issue.
Is there any chance that you thought so little of this movie that you thought, I wish that I had gone to see The Death of Robin Hood starring the great Hugh Jackman? Was it that level?
Well, I didn't need to be alone. It was good to have a few people around me.
Right.
But yeah,
You wanted somebody to be there. Sure.
made me miss Faye Dunaway and Helen Slater. I won't lie, and Jimmy Olsen. I feel like the kid who played Jimmy Olsen in Superman, I adore him, and so I was like hoping he would show up. In fact, this hat is my manifesting Jimmy Olsen, old school, and we're talking the old black and white George Reeves one.
Of course. And just to prove my point that you look like Matt Drudge, this was actually the #1 return on image Matt Drudge. And our audio audience is like, huh? That's all right. This is what you get from checking out the Black Cast with your ears. By the way, Jonathan London with the hot take. I wanted more Chinese democracy in Love and Thunder. Listen, I would have taken it. All right. A little IRS, but neither here nor there. John Nolan, people know that in the one way, first of all, I always respect your opinion and your wealth of knowledge. You are my go-to when it's a DC property because I don't know Bupkis. Sorry to use that kind of language, Brody. I don't know Bupkis when it comes to DC. So I want to know, what did you think of this film, Supergirl, parentheses 2026, not to be confused with Supergirl, parentheses 1984, or maybe that's 1985.
Never going to be any confusion about those two movies, that's for sure. So prior to the movie coming out, first I watched the trailers. I even did a podcast about it. I was like, oh my God, I was so disappointed with the trailers. I thought for sure that the best I could hope for was that this wasn't going to completely suck. But I actually have to say that I did like it. As far to invoke Will Sterling, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Will Sterling, who I believe is not seeing this film, otherwise he'd be here today. But
I mean, I've got plenty of disappointments about it, but it was certainly better than what I thought it was going to be. And I think in some points it actually improved on the comic book story.
I agree 100%. I read all 8 issues of the comic book after seeing the movie, and I think there are some very curious choices in the book. And when we talk about the book, we'll really delve into those. But go ahead.
When I did the previous podcast, I admitted that Supergirl is not very high on my list. I mean, I really don't pay much attention to her. So I thought, just to be fair, I'm going to read Woman of Tomorrow, and I decided to go ahead and read a bunch of her books. I read like the first 1 or 2 story arcs from every series that's been put out where she's the cousin of Superman.
Yeah.
I did all that, and now I've lost my train of thought.
So you did all the research before you saw the movie. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, okay. Yeah. And of all the things I read, Woman of Tomorrow was by far the worst. And I have it, like, it's in my top 5 of worst DC stories I've ever read.
Wow.
It disappointed me that much.
So do you have like a tie for #1, which is everything from the New 52, or is it a little bit more nuanced?
Oh yeah, there's plenty from New 52. There's one, and I want to say, I can't remember the name of it. It's an alternate universe Batman story where he's like a priest.
Oh no,
he's a priest and he becomes Batman. It's like, oh my, that was it's as bad as it sounds.
I mean, I like the story where Nightcrawler's a priest because he's been a devout Catholic.
Holy Terror. I know that Holy Terror, I think is what it was.
That sounds like something that Burt Ward would say to Adam West. Holy Terror!
I was gonna ask, is it worse than the Scooby-Doo Batman crossover?
I don't think. You know what? You're Eric Connor's in timeout for that. You're talking about the one true Batman story with Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Did you see the Batman where he turns into a rabbi? Batmensch? Did you see that?
All right.
See what you did there.
So I believe this is Peter Sky Parker, whose comment is so long it obscures all of our faces.
I was told there would be no math.
Supergirl opened with $38 million opening weekend, $30 million overseas. So that does add up to a cool $68 million. The film will finish at a 175 to 250 million. Budget 186 million. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that they're overly excited about, but in a lot of ways, this is such a smaller story than like Superman. But I guess even small stories need to be made at like $170 million, and we will talk about all of it. But I wanted to kind of see where everybody was, and I think that I like the idea of like, let's take a self-contained Supergirl story. I like that they figured, okay, well, we're going to put Lobo in here. And while I agree with Eric to the extent that he's from a different movie, I'm glad he's in this one because this is the one that I got a ticket to. And it was fun to see him. Where's Lobo in terms of your characters that you like? You said you're not a big Supergirl guy, John, but where's Lobo in that estimation of yours?
He's pretty mid-range. He's one of those kind of weird characters that he's nothing like his original, Keith Giffen origin, but he's still kind of the bounty hunter. And my only problem with him in this movie is he's really not a PG-13 kind of character. He is a hard R, blood and guts, carnage kind of character.
Right. Would you rank him above Ambush Bug, or is that not?
I have a special affinity for Ambush Bug, so
I thought you might. Yeah. But yeah, no, and it's like the idea that we're going to one day soon get PG-13 Deadpool. I agree with you. I don't know that he works well in that, but I would have liked a little bit more interaction between he and Kara, but. Mr. Connor, what did you think of the act? So, you felt like maybe he didn't fit in the movie. Was it at least like, okay, cool that we get to see Momoa playing a character that he makes sense as opposed to Aquaman?
Well, I mean, he did everything he could with Aquaman to make Aquaman cool, which is not a word that often got thrown at that guy. The underoos notwithstanding, which I am wearing right now. And for our book club audience, you might even see it if you stick around and if you super chat us at least $3. I work cheap.
That's true.
Yeah. But I liked what he brought. It definitely infused something. I mean, you could hear the audience when I saw this kind of pop a little bit. But I think also, too, this is where you get that sense that this thing got re-edited a lot. Like it felt really kind of clunky and cluttered how he kind of got brought in and taken out, and it feels like there is probably a bit more Lobo floating around, and even if he was not the BJ and the Bear Lobo I've grown to love over the years, I think he is such a great presence, and you could tell this is like the role. I mean, he's talked about this role he was championing for. He wanted this part. He's like, I don't care that I've already been in the DC universe, and it didn't even bother me for a second that he played a different DC character. Like, it was such a different angle on what he brings. So I liked it. I just, again, the part of it just felt like a lot of stuff kind of put into a bit of a blender. Even though the story is pretty damn simple, it's still the pieces just, I wish they played better in the sandbox.
Someone who never played well in the sandbox is David Brody.
Never.
How do you feel like the combination of characters, specifically Lobo, worked in this film, sir?
Well, as somebody who owns 4 or 5 copies of Omega Men 3, his first appearance, I will be selling them this week because the value went up on all of them. So I'm very excited. That being said, it was weird because when she first sees him in the bar, she's like, "Oh, don't say anything." That she acted like he knew her and there'd be a problem. But then he didn't recognize her, or they had never met before. She just knew he was a problem. And she's Supergirl, so it was kind of weird. And then his motivation was only about money. He only wanted the one guy he had to get. He got the one guy, but then he put himself in jail to get more people when he had no motivation to get those people. And then he never left. He kept showing up again when he made a whole point of saying, my only motivation is money. So he kept showing up. And then he was just there to sort of like give approval when the 2 main females did something dirty and badass. He'd be there to go, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That was really his role in the 3rd act of the movie. was to just go, oh yeah, she's dirty, she's bad. That was it. So, I mean, I liked him, but I don't really know why he was there other than to, for the people that were like, don't want to see a movie with a woman and Captain Marvel had too many women. I guess this was like, we'll give you a guy. We'll put a guy in the movie.
Well, there, and we have the voice of Seth Rogen, but we don't actually get to see him. So
yeah, he was good.
Those are the box office draws.
I would like to have seen Lobo as the villain, because then at least he's a formidable villain. But instead, we got a Russian drug dealer. So I don't, the villain was terrible.
That's probably the best episode of The Sopranos. So I think I understand why they thought that, let's get a Russian gangster.
They found
John,
he's kind of Deus Ex Zarnian. He just kind of shows up whenever they need him to do something to either help out or move the plot along a little bit.
Yeah, I think there is definitely some of that, and I felt like it was fun to have him. I don't know exactly why he's there. I think we're all kind of in agreement on that. I mean,
they needed a big name, and Momoa loves Lobo.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I guess this was the movie of what they have coming up where it makes sense to introduce him. I think that the thing that I'm most disappointed in was I had the thought. Listen, I brought my then 6-year-old daughter to see the Marvels, and you can say what you want about it, but she loved it, especially all the cats. So that's really all I need from that movie. I don't care what anyone else thought. I had fun with that movie too. I might like that better than this, which means I like the Marvels better than Superman. Hot takes abound, but within 3 minutes of this movie, I'm like, oh, well, I can't bring my daughter to see Supergirl because Ruthie's family's murdered on screen. So I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can't. And then there's like more things along the way. I'm like, all right, I definitely can't. So now it's like I have to, make like a fan edit of this movie. That's okay. I need a PG-13. Actually, I really need a G-rated version of this.
Christian, isn't your daughter 26?
No, my daughter's 8. What were you saying, Eric? The girl you saw me with wasn't really my daughter.
Oh, Jesus. Heather, I'm sorry. I tried to rein him in. 3 references to P. At what point do you, in your fan cut, would you add more or take away 2?
I'd put in about 6 more. No,
they leaned hard into that.
I mean, the peeing on the paper, I thought that was more of an editorial opinion on the way Perry White runs the Daily Planet. I thought it had more to do with that. But I mean, that is like the first thing we see. So I was like, all right, I think that's the first thing we see, right? That's before what early. Happens to Ruthie. Yeah. Anyway, it's all early. And listen, the fact that she has to go pee is fine. She also throws up in this movie. Listen, there are certain people that are going to want to like seek out those clips. The way that Mr. Skin finds the nude scenes in movies, there's going to be people who catalog and reference all of the bodily functions.
And a reminder, Mr. Brody is available on the dark web for all your pee needs.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of the tone, Eric? Your kids are not as young as I am. And did you take either of your kids to see Supergirl?
Yeah, I went with my almost 18-year-old, and it was fine. I think.
Did he enjoy it? I guess is what I actually meant to ask. Yeah,
I think we all kind of came out like, I think he liked it more than I did. Okay. I think his hot take is a little closer to yours than my own, but I think he had no qualms with like how they did it. I think it just I can't imagine the second weekend of this movie is gonna be one to write home about. I think the Backroom Special Extended Edition might be doing better in this one pretty soon. So
I'm kind of excited about the extra 15 minutes of
that's what I needed more of,
so that I can be even more confused for that much longer during the movie. Listen, you can say what you want about $38 million. It made $30 million more than the new Jackass. So let's look at it that way. You need to find your glass half full. Let me bring up Peter Sky Parker again. He's highly disappointed in the box office and Supergirl, and disappointed that WBDC could have done a better job promoting the film and developing the film and the project to higher standards. Listen, you can talk about the development, you can talk about the writing. They did an amazing job promoting this film. She was on everything and took a little too many questions, I think, and I don't think that's her fault. I think that they put her in spots where she wasn't going to succeed. It's some that she did, but there were definitely times where, like, I didn't grab this. I probably should have. There's like a red carpet where like some reporter like has his hand on her. And David Cornsweet, who's Superman, shows that even when he doesn't have the cape on, he is the hero we all need. And he kind of gets this creep away from her, very like matter of fact. He doesn't rough him up because, he's not Lobo. But I think she's great. And I know that that's a big part of the narrative that a lot of people don't. I thought that, her cameo at the end of Superman was fun. We knew we were getting this next. Even though I've only just read this story, John, I kind of knew what it was. I knew what this story was about, and I knew what this movie was going to be. But it's interesting that I'm going to get that list from you of like the other Supergirl stories you read, that this was the worst, because I don't think that this was that bad. And like I said earlier, I prefer the way the movie told the story. Yes. They put some urgency into this and
moved things along much better.
Yeah.
The comic takes place over like 8 months.
Yeah, I got to save my dog eventually.
There is one issue for the entire issue is just that bus ride of theirs.
Yeah,
and narration is so I call it loquaciously verbose.
Oh, yeah,
and that's coming from somebody who himself is long-winded. So yeah, it was a slog of a story for me.
Brody, I think you're loquacious, but not verbose. So it's kind of
I'm garrulous. I've been known to be garrulous.
That's fair. But I know that you do have your list of. I don't know if you actually wrote it. I don't know if it's an actual.
Oh yeah.
If you're putting your Mets glasses on, you must have actually written it out.
That is correct.
This is the point in the show where I want to hear the list.
Okay, in no particular order.
Okay.
Why didn't Supergirl learn all of the languages and math and science in the rocket ship like Clark did? She came out, didn't speak English. Seems like that was a wasted journey. So that seemed odd to me, that the uncle didn't teach her anything. And how did she and the dog eat? Were they both in suspended animation? They don't really explain that. She and the dog are just in a spaceship.
No, there was another dog in there with
them. There was originally 7 cryptos.
Yeah.
Did the dog eat her like they did in the Marvels, and then she came out of the dog? I don't know.
And I think she was too busy listening to emo music. So there was no time for Duolingo, unfortunately. But let's move on your list.
Okay. How did the bad guys know she was a Kryptonian when there's only one Kryptonian in, as far as anyone knows, and that's Superman? They had green stuff already loaded in darts, the kryptonite in the darts loaded for her. How did they know? They didn't even know who she was, but they knew she was a Kryptonian. Why did they hide on a planet? If they knew a green sun would be bad, why did they hide on a planet that had a green sun and a yellow sun, where they knew eventually she'd become Supergirl again and destroy them? Okay.
Well, that's a weird choice from the book, because from the book, it is just a planet with the green sun and they just wait for it to go down. And Superman lasted 45 minutes on that planet before the Justice League saved him. And by the way, we'll definitely get back to your list. The one thing I'm really glad didn't happen is Ruthie goes on her ship, because that's how she ends up with the suit, and calls her cousin to, come save her, because there's certainly a point where I was thinking, like, that's probably a good course of action, right? Get Superman to bail you out of this. I'm glad that they chose to not have that be part of the story. And I don't know. I feel like everybody would probably agree that would have really set this character back if Superman had to come and rescue her. Yeah. But anyway, back to Brody's list.
Okay, the bad guys
from the home office in Wahoo, Nebraska, by the way.
Yes, they moved it from Saskatchewan. So they found Ruthie by the lake.
Yeah. And
they bring her back to the base to threaten her that she needs to say where Kara-El is.
Yeah.
How far do they think the girl walked to go get water? That they couldn't just search the area for her. It seems weird they didn't even bother looking for her.
I'm fairly sure that she's Scottish, so they knew that she would walk 500 miles and she would walk 500 more just to be the one to bring water to Supergirl.
Yes.
That's
By the way, I
my
do
answer.
call her Mulan occasionally while I was watching the movie.
The fabulous Mulan.
Fabulous Mulan. Then a couple other things I wanted to complain about. She says her cousin is a nerd, and Ruthie goes, "Really? How does Space Girl know what a nerd is?" That seemed weird to me.
How do they speak the same language? You're gonna.
That was my next thing.
Those hairs. Yeah.
No, I wrote English in general. Every alien speaks English and has 2 arms, 2 legs. Not a lot of creativity. The entire bus, except for the fat blob, was all humanoid creatures. But
His name is Seth Rogen, and we couldn't see him. I don't know why you would call him that.
Yeah. Here is my biggest complaint. Imagine, if you will, you're in outer space in a bar with a red sun.
Sweet.
And Kara Ellis is drinking, and she gets into a fight. And at one point, one of the guys picks up a chair with a rattan wicker back. How do they have little circle rattan chairs in outer space? If you're watching Star Wars and one of the Jedi had a Burberry scarf, wouldn't you question that? Wouldn't you say?
I know. I have an answer. It's from Wayfair, far away. Thank you.
I believe whatever planet that was, it was 1973. So that's actually why it made sense. Listen,
okay.
I'm not even. I don't think I'm disputing anything you said. Some of it, I think I understand a little bit from the source material. John, what do you think of Mr. Brody's list?
That's a pretty darn good list. Yeah. It's, I'm kind of on the opposite side about the whole translation thing. Kal-El, at this point, if he has that Fortress of Solitude, he should already have learned Kryptonian. He should have been able to speak to her in Kryptonian as soon as he realized who she was. I mean, in every iteration of the comic book, Superman knows how to speak his native language, even though he was, already a little baby when he was, shot off.
Let me ask an important question. We don't qualify for this, but Brody and Eric, at your bar mitzvah, how was your reading from the Torah? Was it like spot on, or was it a little? Oh,
impeccable. Except I did accidentally raise someone from the dead when I mispronounced one word.
And I decided to have my bar mitzvah in a Southern Baptist church, so they thought I was great.
Yeah, it probably went over well.
Yeah,
I guess Clark's been busy. It's listen, valid points all around. I don't know. I think that a lot of people had preconceived notions heading into this movie, and the thought that I had is that I don't know what else we were going to get from a standalone Supergirl movie. Yes, you can argue, John, with the decision to adapt this story. I think that they did a good job bringing this story to the screen. I do think that the story works. I think it's a 6-issue miniseries for sure. It didn't need to be 8.
Well, I mean, it certainly gives a good, Superman is such a kind of the Boy Scout. You don't want Supergirl to be that way too, because then you're just doing a female version of Superman, which is what she's traditionally kind of been.
Yeah.
So it was kind of good to see, kind of a contradiction.
Outside of Woman of Tomorrow, is she usually more like, like Supergirl on TV and
for the most part,
yeah.
Actually, I'm sorry. Can I follow up that question?
Please.
Yeah, as our resident DC expert, Mr. Raging, I assume that's your last name,
Mr. Rhino. If you're nasty,
Rhino's guitar, Rhino's Supergirl. So I guess my question is okay, so was this then just a few years ago, right? This issue, the book only came out like
2021 into 22.
22. Yeah. So this was like a real makeover for Supergirl, making her a little bit more like edgy and whatnot. Is this the first time they did that? And as far as in DC lore?
I mean, she had a little bit of an edginess to her in the New 52. And she kind of struggled with her, finding her place in the world in the early 2000s when they reintroduced her as Superman's cousin. You don't really want to know who the Supergirl was in the interim.
No, but he married her, right? The other Supergirl, I've seen that, right?
Was she a trad wife? Was she like a traditional bride kind of thing?
She was a synthetic life form created by Lex Luthor, who later merges with a human girl. It's like angel powers.
That's so hot.
Okay. John, I was going to say, John, I'm going to need you to turn the light out and say that all again, just slower this time. That actually sounds terrible. And listen,
don't do that again.
I will always be quick to point out the terrible things that Marvel has done, but that sounds particularly bad to me. But
it was wild because DC had mandated after Crisis that Superman was supposed to be the only surviving Kryptonian, period. So there's no Supergirl, there's no Zod, there's no Krypto, nothing.
Power Girl? I read Crisis when it was out, but I don't remember what happened to Power Girl, who is Supergirl
from to be the granddaughter of Arian from ancient Atlantis.
Whoa, they made her an Aryan. I can think of a good chunk of our audience who would appreciate
that was the name.
They changed her name to White Power Girl.
Right.
All right. You know what?
Very good.
I like that one.
And the irony is, Power Girl, actually, to me, I actually prefer her as Superman's cousin, because when she was created in the 70s, she's Earth 2 Superman, the original Golden Age Superman. She's his cousin. And because she's Power Girl, she doesn't have that same kind of tethering to Superman. She's kind of her own character, and she's a much more well developed.
Yeah, no, you're kidding.
To what you're
that way too. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. By the way, to what you're talking about, this is of course just one of the most impactful images that we can see, which is indeed, yes, it is Superman holding the corpse of his cousin on the cover of Crisis number 7, which is also experiencing, I guess the end of Crisis was 40 years ago this year. So we'll have to do something to commemorate that. But yes, it is George Perez doing an homage to John Byrne from Uncanny X-Men 136. Yep. No, I couldn't see your phone that well. I'm just that much of a nerd.
But you know. Yes, you are.
And I hate to say this, but that is still peak Supergirl to me. I mean,
you mean laying there lifelessly? No, Jesus, Sean, that's cold. That's as cold as Star is in this image.
Yeah, but the way that story plays out, I mean, Superman is literally about to die, and she jumps in, saves his life, and because she's so caring about what happens to him, she's distracted and gets killed. I mean, that to me is like one of the most heartbreaking stories that DC's ever done. And it's awesome.
Wait, so she dies because she's a dizzy blonde, basically? She did all this cool shit, and then it's like, wait, where am I? And then dies?
No, she's like, get him out of here. When she turns her head, that's
I see. Okay.
Is that like a gun and stuff?
Oh my God.
Well, I have one thing that, and I was going to throw this on Mr. Brody's list, but one issue I had was theme and this idea of like she's trying to protect the little girl from like, no, you don't want to murder anyone. It's going to rot your soul. I'll murder him. And that was a moment, even in the comic book, I'm not exactly sure how they played that out because they sent him to the Phantom Zone, but we'll talk about that in the second hour. But I found that I wasn't quite sure thematically what they were saying. Like in the end of it all, it's like, well, I can kill again because I've already done it enough. So what's another log on the fire?
No, I mean, that actually makes sense. Yeah.
I was actually thinking about while I was watching the movie, I'm thinking, okay, Kara's going to be the one to actually kill Crown. And I think it's really more along the lines that she doesn't want Ruthie to be burdened with the guilt of having to do it. She's going to bear it for her, which within the context of the story, it made sense to me.
So murder, once you've done some, just keep doing it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't think she should have done it, but I get
that, right. When I found that theme is in essence her journey, because also it's about her learning responsibility and learning to think for others. That to me, it felt like it kind of maybe took away a little bit from that thematic arc, and the message got a little muddled there with like, well, I'll kill for you. It's cool.
And the more I think about it, the more I think that probably the most sensible thing would have been for Lobo to stick around and kill Krim. I mean, he is the murdering bastard anyway.
That would have been a good solution. I think I have to agree with you that that's the character where it's not going to impact it at all. He's going to be fine,
and everybody else gets to keep their their inner strength and not have any guilt or burden to carry with them.
Yeah.
I think that was a.
Go ahead, Brody.
Sorry, that was a Daredevil throwing bullseye off the roof moment. I think she's going to live with that pain, but I think she proved she already had that pain, which is why she didn't want Ruthie to have more pain. And I have to be honest, in the fight, which is not the same thing as killing someone in cold blood, she killed a couple of people. She lasered some guy off the hanging thing, and he died. He had to have died.
Many people died. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She killed a bunch of people, whereas this Clark would never have killed anybody.
But
so
he was an under 5 non-union, so you're actually allowed to kill as many of those as you want.
Yeah, if you don't have a line, we're not paying you.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
but it's go ahead, John. John, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but it is a little disconcerting that Krim at that point he's been bested, he's been subdued, he's defenseless, and then she chooses to do it. That is the kind of the tough pill to swallow in that hole.
Yeah, it reminds me of Henry Cavill's Superman snapping the neck of General Zod, which
that's a little bit different. I mean, you have people in imminent danger.
Sure. No, I'm just saying it reminds you of I didn't think we would get that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's still shocking.
So, Eric, you've put something in I believe that's you who've put that there. Are you commenting on this show to say worst episode ever?
Well, I just
now that I look at it, did Brody put this in here?
No, that was me. I think as you went over that list, for some reason you started to become a little bit in a way that I adore. This is only
it's
from
the
love.
comic book man promoting.
Don't hurt yourself. Backpedaling.
It's the comic book guy from The Simpsons promoting, I think, everybody's favorite Brooklyn podcast, Brody.
And wearing Brody's reading glasses.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's well done. I did have one more critique of the movie that was on my list, but it's not a critique of mine necessarily. Yeah,
it's actually a great point.
Bring the image back up. So this guy would be saying it. This guy's part of bro culture, and I think when you add on the LGBTQ stuff she talked about on the red carpet that pissed people off, and you're coming off the heels of the Marvels, right? You make a movie with a female lead, which already is risky. And then you give her a female sidekick, you pile it on, and then you make the bad guys an all-male culture that has no women, and their sole purpose is to kidnap little girls to have sex with them. I feel like you're adding on to we get it, female. Again, that guy has a problem. I don't have a problem with it. But for the people that go to see superhero movies who are already defensive about a female lead, you just piled on every possible thing you could to keep them from going to the movie. And I'm not shocked by the box office results when you can get away with a little bit, but then you go, oh, we're going to give you this and this and this. I'm surprised they didn't start doing show tunes, because that's in the movie. I'm sitting there going, if anybody's bro culture guys see this movie and do a review, the movie's even more dead than it is now. So I feel like it was like the Marvels where they had to make all the villains female also. I just think they went too far for the people that are offended by this kind of thing, which they shouldn't be.
It goes back to my overall feeling that this wasn't a movie that's for kids, which is a fine choice to make if you tell a story that adults are going to enjoy. It's way too dark for kids. I mean, I guess middle school, high school age, but I don't have those. So, but to your earlier point, I think that the problem is that they're able to get away with it because we've never actually seen the full release of the flight logs from Krim's ship. So we don't actually know who's been on it. We don't know where they've been going. We don't know, maybe they
Bill Gates for sure.
Yeah. Maybe they put these girls in a hairdressing school. We don't know because they won't
pay their tuition. Right.
Yeah. By the way, Eric Nagel has had a few fun comments. Great to see you in here if you're still here. And if not, still great to see your comments that I haven't gotten to. Remember in Wonder Woman, they all sat around in Adirondack chairs, and also Brody was hoisted up in a rattan wicker chair during his celebration. I assume he meant your bar mitzvah. But it's Eric Nagel. Funny how the people/types who got Gunn canceled and fired from Marvel are the people Gunn is appealing to in these movies. I don't think he's going for them. I think that they're actually well. No, he didn't write it. He didn't direct it. We're going to talk in a second about the person who did write it. And if you didn't like this, too bad, because she's writing Teen Titans as well. But anyway, we'll talk about her in a moment. I do think that people kind of forgot what the timeline was, how James Gunn ended up with this job. It was while he was fired from Marvel, where they're like, well, great, we're going to have you do Superman. And then they're like, just kidding. Nobody else really wants to touch Guardians of the Galaxy 3, including the cast. So we'll bring you back. And he's like, all right, but I've already got a better job. Anyway, I appreciate the comment from E-Rock, though. So the writer of the screenplay for this movie, this is a little bit in the weeds for people who didn't read the book, but I want to point out, and her name is Anna Nogueira, and she says that so the ending between Kara and Krem was always in it from the pitch, truly the very beginning, because the comic ends with Ruthie killing him, but in the far, far future. Now, I've got the advantage that I just read the story. That is not at all what happens. Not even a little. Did you read the book, Anna? Did you read some of it? Did somebody read part of it to you? So the end of the book takes place like decades and decades and
300 years.
Yeah, because Ruthie's been telling this story, from by looking back. And then we get caught up to what is the present day for her. And Kara, of course, still looks like Kara because she's Supergirl. And he's been in the Phantom Zone the whole time. And then they let him out and he repents and he realizes it. She doesn't really forgive him, but she hits him with a stick. Eric, did she kill him with that stick and I missed it?
I don't even think it was her that did it. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. I think it was someone else.
I read that.
Oh, no, it is her. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry.
But it's just a stick.
It looks to me like she slashed his throat.
Oh, is it really?
It looked to me like he bonked his head.
Oh, okay.
I'm warning you.
It's open to interpretation. This is great because it looks to me like she slashes his throat with the edge of her cane, and he collapses.
Okay, there is some kind of residue coming out. Again, when we talk in the book club, a reason to stick around for the book club.
All right,
but so you're right. It's completely inconclusive. It's also, again, the themes here are they're muddled at best. Like at one point in the movie, she was about to potentially kill Krem and it's like, no, you can't kill him. And so moments later, Krem kills a couple and their daughter. And listen, I love my dogs. I even love Brody's dog, who I've never met in person. But in the end of it all, like, I'm sorry, it'd be hard pressed for me to save my dogs at the risk of a young girl being executed in cold blood. I mean, listen, I guess it depends on the girl, but it felt like a moment I was like, all right, what are they saying here?
Well, because, listen.
Yes, please.
I've asked our AI overlords. No,
okay.
Ruthie does not kill Krem in issue 8 of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. She
bonks his head?
Yeah, that's what it says. Ruthie simply hits him with her cane. That's what I thought. I made the mistake of giving my book to you, which, judging from your screenshots, was the print too small in the book that I gave you, Eric?
I'm not young.
Yeah, no, I realized that. By the way, I struggled a little bit. I had to, hold it up here. Supergirl writer misinterprets. Yeah, thanks to, what is that, Geek? What is that headline from?
Geek Tyrant?
Geek whore.
She misinterprets it. It's not easy to misinterpret. It's pretty, I think she didn't read it. I think
how did she not mention it to anybody? Like, hey, I read the comic. Yeah, she kills him in the end. And not one person said, no, she doesn't.
Okay.
I kind of like the idea. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Finish your thought, Eric.
No, I like the idea that they send a character to the Phantom Zone for hundreds of years of torture, pull him out of it, he apologizes, and then they kill him. I love how dark that would be it makes no sense. But the idea that hundreds of years later they're only angrier at him, I think, is a wonderful message for children of all ages.
That's why that's one of the reasons why that comic pissed me off so much, is because it really appeared. It's like, am I seeing this right? It's like I took a couple of minutes, like that looks like blood splatter. So
oh well,
I mean,
maybe they sanitize it for the version. I'm
happy to be wrong.
Let me point out something that it's Eric Nagel points out. I'm glad you're still with us, sir. She had zero writing experience for movies. So you're right in terms of things that got produced. She wrote a Supergirl movie for Sasha Calle, I think that's how you say her name, who was the Supergirl trapped in the tank in Aquaman. And it's a completely different story. We'll never see it. She doesn't even want to talk about which characters were in it. So I know what you're saying. She doesn't have produced credits apart from a short film. She did write a Supergirl movie, and presumably Gon, Safran, everybody read it, and they thought, well, she's the one to write Supergirl because she understands the character. You're 100% right that there are probably other writers they could have had. And Erock points out that people were doing reviews while walking out. Yeah. All right. So, John, I wish I had that so that I could, but you're actually, you've got good Wi-Fi. You've got good Wi-Fi there. You go ahead and drop that in there. But I see why you would think that, but it is just a little bonk. I didn't. It's a gonk.
A gonk.
Rabbit foo-foo.
But if that was the case, I would expect the art to look like the it's coming down. I mean, this has the lines coming like it's coming back this way. So that's, and again, it's it obviously is it's open for interpretation.
Wouldn't you ask the writer?
Yeah, that's
you ask the person? He's alive. Alive.
By the way,
Tom King needs to clear this up for us.
What is a gonk? Do you mind telling me what a gonk is? There's a lot of directing going on around here.
By the way, this woman who wrote this movie, I believe, to Eric Nagel's point and to his credit, she's going to be writing Doctor Who next. So enjoy that, Eric.
I don't believe she actually is. But she seems like someone they would hire.
And Eric would be very happy, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think that we see what there is. And by the way, Peter Sky Parker lists a bunch of people who they should have. He says John Logan should script Teen Titans. I think John Nolan should write Teen Titans. Do you think you're up for it, John?
I'd be happy to contribute.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
And get your cousin Christopher Nolan to direct it. That'd be good.
Right?
I like that.
If only.
All right, Ivan. Sasha Kaye. Kaye. Oh, Kaye, like the street. So Sasha Street. All right. Thank you, Ivan. Listen, I knew I had it wrong. I had no idea how to say that woman's name, but I
maybe spell it phonetically because he didn't really. Is that really? It to me looks like K. Looks like K to me.
So it's pronounced Christian. Well, how do you pronounce it in Hebrew? Now we know Christian, but I want to pronounce it in Hebrew.
It's pronounced Turkey.
Yes.
Yay?
In Hebrew, my name is Moishe. I don't quite know why, but
no, it's Jew.
Yeah. So, Eric, you did provide this for us. We sort of moved on from it, but
we'll never move on from it.
I guess you could interpret it that way. But it's I do believe it's just a gonk.
Okay.
But
in the next image, he's like holding his head too, which if it was really a killing blow, I don't think he'd be like, "Oh, Gewalt." I assume he would say, "Oh, Gewalt." At that point, look, he's 300 years old. That's when we all become Jewish.
So everyone converts in the Phantom Zone. Is
after year 200, it's a lot of Yiddish complaints.
That's fine. Yeah. So
doesn't that look like the Harry Potter cartoon of the three brothers? A little bit.
It does a little bit. So we're going to circle it back to the film now, and I appreciate. Listen, I appreciate all of the insight, and I did want to point out that I felt like the writer didn't understand the book, and if it was a male writer, I would have said the same thing. All right, it's just
he wouldn't have gotten it wrong though. I'm sorry. I'm just.
But I like what Brody said. I mean,
I really wish Husey hadn't been too busy for this.
But Brody, I definitely agree. I mean, somebody needs to ask the writer, Tom King. Right? Is it Tom or Tim? Tom, right?
Tom King, yes.
Tom King somebody needs to say, hey, what happened to Cram at the end? I mean, is it just a hit on the head, or is it a murder?
If he's signing at San Diego Comic-Con, I will pay to wait in the line to ask him, and I will have him sign my AMC IMAX version of Woman of Tomorrow that was given to me, and very much appreciated. So, listen, there's a lot to do with this movie that actually didn't have much to do about the movie. There's a lot of commentary based on comments that Millie Alcock made, but it all starts with what she looks like, and I don't quite get all of this. I mean, she is not. She doesn't look like Melissa from Glee, who was Supergirl on TV. That's kind of like, taken from the page and put into real life. So yes, that's kind of what we expect, but she's a different version of the character because they're telling a different story. Now they are kind of stuck with this version of the character. I mean, I don't think anybody has any intention of recasting her, because then that would be admitting that you made a mistake. And I personally don't think they did make a mistake.
I think Terrence Howard in the role.
All right, now that I like. Thank you for saying Terrence Howard, because you know what, I would have said Dick Sargent, and that would have been, maybe Sarah Chalk, but yours was way better. So you get 2 dings for that, Brody.
Thank you.
Ivan, did you not see the movie? Ruthie's the girl.
Milan.
Girl. Yeah, kind of. Anyway. But either way, I appreciate everybody who's here in the chat. And I will try to circle back to some of the comments that we had earlier. So, listen, people are talking about her and, what she looks like. And I don't know. I mean, listen, people, obviously, anyone can have whatever opinion they want. I just find it to be unfounded, because I think she's got a very specific look. And I think that people who actually see the movie, whether they're disappointed in it or not, I don't think she's the problem. Maybe, but before I even move on, do you feel like, John, this movie works better with a different Supergirl, or is it a script problem?
No, I think that it is a script problem. A lot of the writing is a lot of head scratching things, but the actor, I think she did a fine job for this movie.
Yeah, this is the story that they wanted to tell.
Yeah, I mean, and I said before that whenever I go into a movie, I think, okay, this is not the comic books. This is not any other previous movie universe. This is this universe. This is a completely new story. Don't get rid of as much baggage as you can before you go see this, because if you take the baggage with you, it's going to taint everything that you think about it. But she did a good job in this movie.
I don't think TV Supergirl works in this story.
No.
I think that this is the approach that you take, and I feel like we're in agreement on that. But I
mean, Millie Alcock?
Millie Alcock,
I mean,
yeah.
She's not my cup of tea. I mean, as far as how she looks, I mean, she's a cute girl, but she's not.
Yeah. Listen, she's tough enough for the role because she grew up with the name Alcock, and she managed to still be able to go out in public.
I wouldn't kick her out of my rattan headboard bed, but
no, I get that. That's the thing that we know about Brody.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Melissa Benoist, or even Helen Slater, that kind of like all-American sweetheart. It's that look isn't going to work for this movie.
Yeah, and I find it curious that that of all people weighing in on Supergirl, we get Dean Cain, and the first Dean Cain comment is he's just giving that when you quote tweet something and you don't want to actually put a comment on there. If Supergirl's skin is bulletproof, how does she have ear piercings? And somebody had a great answer, which was she went to the Claire's on Krypton where they pierce ears. But also on Krypton, she doesn't have all these powers.
Or any planet with red sun.
Stupid. Yeah, That's right, Dean Cain. And Dean Cain, for whatever reason, decided that he would take it a little bit further. The internet had some comments comparing her to the boy from Mad Max. I think that that's funnier. That's a little bit like, okay, I can see it's mostly because of the hair. But Dean Cain goes far enough to respond to someone that compared her to this character from Land of the Lost. Yes.
Yeah.
And he says, dang it, I laughed. And I don't know. I mean, I find it to be, yes, infuriating. And also, I don't know, is Dean Cain's kryptonite a mirror? Has he not seen himself at any point in the decades since Lois and Clark? Because you look at Dean Cain, and I don't think he should be judging a beautiful young woman. I don't know that he should be judging anyone, because you look at him and you go, look, up there at the top of the stairs, it's somebody waddling really slowly, faster than a speeding donut, with flatulence more powerful than a loco moco, and able to scarf burritos in a single gulp. It's Waddle Man. Look at you, you fat son of a bitch. Jesus Christ.
The Rob Schneider of Superman.
He looks like he's going to be in a sitcom with Leah Remini.
Actually, he looks like the reboot of Leave It to Beaver.
Still the Beaver with
Oh,
Jerry Mathers.
Oh my God, he totally has Jerry Mathers. Well, and also his peak is a photo I put below when his body was used by Ronnie the limo driver for one of his publicity photos where he put his head.
I'm going to bring this photo up, and then you got to take all your photos out because they're clogging my display down there. He does look a lot like Ronnie the limo driver from the Howard Stern show, though. I appreciate that.
Who looks a lot like James Hetfield.
He does look a lot like James Hetfield. So listen, I don't know. I mean, so Dean Cain decides that he's going to pile on this poor girl and, keep talking about her. So I thought that maybe we would take a moment and look that, Dean Cain wanted to join ICE. And you can think what you want about the fact that Dean Cain wanted to join ICE. But here he was training at an ICE facility in Georgia. And by the way, in case you're wondering, I didn't slow this down. No, that is actually
that's 5 times speed.
Yeah, that is 5 times the speed. And Dean Cain, what are you doing? I mean, I said your name like 9 times now, and I don't know where he gets off. I definitely don't want. And Eric Nagel says reviews kept saying the film was like Mad Max, so it's a fair comment. All right, yeah, but but
not Land of the Lost.
The Land of the Lost is a little bit more harsh. Yeah.
Did you notice on the bus with all the aliens on the right side of the bus, on the right side of the screen, there were 2 guys. You'd have to go back and remember now, but they looked like Sleestack. They had giant blue eyes, and I was like, "Oh, look at the Sleestack." So there was maybe a nod to Land of the Lost after all.
An earlier comment from the great Eric Nagel. In Superman, you get the Phantom Zone. In Supergirl, you get sent to the friend zone. Fucking home run, Nagel. Home run.
I'll do it because he's my friend too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen. I think that, yes, I zeroed in on Dean Cain as, of course, the worst Superman. I think there's not really need to be a debate on that. Brandon Routh's not the problem with Superman Returns. It's probably Lois in that movie, if I had to guess. But anyway, and that's like part of a whole narrative, and those are his people. I mean, I was going to say that, that Dean Cain reaches out to try to, become an ICE agent for the politics, but I'm pretty sure he needs 50 grand. I think that it's probably more that. I saw him at Celebrity Con, and John Melendez had a longer line. It's really for you, Eric.
Thank you.
But so there's a part of me that feels like this movie will probably, find some degree of an audience. I don't think that it's bad, but Brody makes some points about that. I never for a second thought it was perfect, but I liked the story it was based on, and I felt like this improved upon it. But John Nolan, if there is one of the multitude of Supergirl stories that you read leading up to this, is there one that should have been a Supergirl movie?
Whew. I think with a little caveat, the 2005 return of the cousin of Superman, Supergirl. That I think that would have been a pretty decent way to do it. The downside, of course, of that is that Batman, Wonder Woman, and a couple of D-list characters are kind of involved as well. So then you're kind of muddling things up. That series, as good as the story itself was, there was some really creepy hypersexualization of Kara because she's only supposed to be like 15 or 16 years old.
Oh.
But they do like a lot of like naked and half naked and really provocative clothing scenes with her, and it just was not easy to read.
Who's the character from Teen Titans that like betrayed
Coriander.
everyone? The one who was like sleeping with the bad guy, but she was like 15.
Tara.
Her name's also Kara?
Tara.
No, Terra.
Oh, Tara. I was like, Jesus, what are they doing with that name?
Like terra firma. Like she
Yeah.
controls rock. She and her brother, right? She had a twin brother.
Magma
or something.
Geoforce.
Yeah. Magma
Geoforce,
was on the New Mutants.
Geoforce. Brian Markov.
Yeah. And she's definitely like an early teen. And
Oh, yeah.
like,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge thing
Look,
back in those days.
But here, look, I'm not going to throw too many stones. I'm not going to throw Ben Grimm because in the pages of the X-Men, Colossus, who was 19, had a 13-year-old girlfriend in Kitty Pryde. But they were your boyfriend, girlfriend in the way where Brody and I are friends. We talk a couple times a year, and that's really it.
Kitty was transparent about it.
All right. You know what? I didn't want to like that, but I did. And Calverton's with a great comment. How come Superman has cans? Now, you might be talking about the poster for the movie, but I hope you're talking about Dean Cain. That's what I'm hoping that's a comment towards. Is there a scenario, I'll ask you first, Eric Connor, where you would ever want to rewatch this movie?
I might have fallen asleep for 5 minutes of it, so maybe just to see where did I fall asleep, because I wasn't really sure if I did or didn't. Beyond that, I don't see it as something that I would feel the need to revisit. I again would be very happy to see her bring this character around to all sorts of things, but this story, the Mad Max comparison, the sort of the themes, everything about it made me feel like, I don't see it going back to this well.
What if, like Backrooms, they add 15 minutes of urination scenes? Do you think that is probably what you're looking for?
Well, we'll just look for those 15 minutes and I will find them.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. What about you, Brody? If ahead of the next film, which hang on, I will, because it's in the chat, Supergirl will return in a small role in the upcoming feature film,
Avengers Doomsday.
Man of Tomorrow. Did you know that she's possibly in Avengers Doomsday? Thank you. And it'll debut in IMAX Friday, July 9th. So 53 weeks from now. The film is an adaptation of Panic in the Sky and Superman Sacrifice. I will get your thoughts, Brody, but I didn't quite read this all the way through. Do you know those two stories, John Nolan?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm going to have to read those.
Okay. But as always, I will read it after the movie. I don't want to read it before I see it. Do you feel like, you might one day want to do like a DCU rewatch, watch Superman, watch this, watch Man of Tomorrow, which is why you couldn't call this film Woman of Tomorrow, because the next one's going to be Man of Tomorrow. It's just confusing.
I wouldn't watch it again. And I also think it was a huge mistake not making Wonder Woman the second movie. I think the problem with this movie, along the list of the other things I've talked about, the rattan chair, of course, is that it's a character that nobody cares about. Now, nobody cared about Iron Man, but in that movie, you didn't need to care about Robert Downey Jr. You didn't need to feel empathy for him. He was a bad guy, turned around, became a good guy. She was sort of like, even the end of Superman, there was nothing in the end of Superman that made me want to see her story And so I didn't feel her pain at the beginning of this movie. Had I seen her journey, it took an hour to get to her journey where I'd understand why she is the way she is. So it was an hour of like, I don't understand why she's such a grumpy bug, right? So it was the wrong movie. I would have liked to have seen her in a couple of Superman movies and then spin her off. But to just go, well, she's got the same costume and she's hot, make a movie out of it. It was, to me, it was a horrible choice for the second DCU major release. I understand why you can't do Batman because the Robert Pattinson Batman's coming out.
And they don't know who their Batman is in this universe. And
right.
The great Ian Kerner earlier in the week on this channel made the point, like, you got to let us know who your Batman is. As though the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson Batman is so great that we can't muddy the waters with another one. But finish your thought, Brody.
That's really it. If you had Batman in the end of a Superman movie and you spun him off into a movie, fantastic. Yeah. Wonder Woman, same thing. But you took a character that most people don't even know she exists. They know Superman. Supergirl hasn't been a thing. The TV show, yes. But in terms of like the big screen, I just, by the way, Melissa Benoit, she is great. You had mentioned that she wouldn't have been right for this movie. You'd be interested to, maybe not, to see how many nude scenes she's done in her career.
Oh, no. I've seen Homeland. I know, but I wasn't going to bring it up.
Yeah, Homeland.
No, you don't have to say all. Go to MrSkin.com. All right. There's a plug for him. That doesn't mean she would be good for this story.
Plug.
That just means that I've made a note to myself that I might need to, refresh my familiarity with her body of work.
Catalog.
The European cut of Glee was really spicy.
This is very, very funny from Nagel. Unlike Grand Theft Auto 6, people want the Supergirl physical copies to be empty. Yes, so you buy for the sleeve, and then 15-minute urination scenes turns it into the bathrooms. I like that. If I did a home run, Nagel, it would imply that I didn't think it was funny, and that's why you got this. So
I want the director's cut where they show you the version where the director was cut. And it's just somebody else did the movie.
So I'm sorry, you want to see the director's bris? I'm not quite sure what it is that you're asking for.
Well, she didn't have one.
Want to just confirm if he's cut.
Craig Gillespie. I don't know if he's cut or not, but
he's Disney.
I do know, and we'll tell you in the book club whether he is or not with visuals.
Yeah, we want people to stay tuned for that. Yeah, go ahead, John.
If I could just riff off kind of what Brody was saying earlier, the difference with Iron Man, it's like, yeah, most people weren't familiar. But you know something? Robert Downey Jr. was so damn charismatic in that movie. You instantly enjoyed that guy, even when he's sitting, at the beginning of the movie with the soldiers and about to get bombed. He was still interesting, and you were invested in his story. This Supergirl, I mean, she finally confronts all of the trauma that she has faced. And yeah, she kills the bad guy. She's helped her friend. They face this horrible trial together. And what do? Let's go out and get drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing that you really say, I want to know more. I don't. I mean, yeah, great story, but okay, I'm done.
You made me realize that I didn't put this up. So, spoilers for Supergirl. That's all right. I should have put that up at the beginning of the show. But
hey, the director spoiled the film. It's
not a problem. We're kind of at the point where if anybody's going to see it, they already have. I want to before we wrap up the movie part of the conversation, John, how do you feel that they handled the Krypton of it, the Argo, the sort of the floating city? Because I found it to be interesting. I wasn't familiar with that part of her story, wherever it came from.
That actually goes back to her original origin, the Silver Age, and kind of carried through most of her different iterations. Just a couple of differences in the past 20 years or so. But yeah, it's a little bit crazy, and I personally have some problems with the Silver Age that I don't want to get into right now, but there's a lot of things about it that are, even though they're crazy and they're sometimes ridiculous, I love them. I embrace them. And the fact that Zor-El is able to save, Argo from an exploding planet with Kryptonian science, and then later save his daughter to give her, send her off to Earth to be with her cousin. I kind of liked it. I liked that they kept that part of the story.
Yeah, I don't know. I found it to be interesting. Eric, what did you think is sort of about getting Kara's backstory, which I guess in the original cut, that's actually how it started, and there was more of it. They actually, I think, told a linear story in the first cut instead of using it as a flashback.
Yeah, my older son did see a test screening of this over a year ago, and he's very protective. He wouldn't really tell me much. He's still very nervous. He did say there was at least another 15 or 20 minutes that he saw. I
Was
think
there urination in those 15 minutes?
it's not usually the follow-up question I ask my
Okay.
17-year-old.
Right,
When he
that's
turns
fair.
18, maybe
wait.
I'll wait 2 weeks. I'll ask him that question. But I think the stuff that honestly was homebound that involved Superman or Earth, those were my favorite scenes, or her backstory. So that was all stuff that I found immensely like connectable, relatable. I also liked it in the book that we're going to talk about. I thought
Yeah.
those scenes were actually pretty great, and it was what you brought up before, Sir Rhino, the idea of like we see why she's so effed up by this, and I think it is interesting because her trauma is different than Clark's. Clark was a baby and didn't have a dog. She had a dog, and I mean, I love my dogs, but if I was stuck in a pod with him for a couple of years, that might get rough. And I think she came in as a teenager. Yep, she came in as a teenager, and so like she came in knowing these people who died, knowing what was lost. That's different than Clark's journey. So I thought that stuff all to me played actually quite well, and it made me wish that Supergirl was more earthbound. I found that the representation of space, it was again sort of like it felt like Timu, Guardians of the Galaxy, Timu Mad Max, and Kirkland brand of both of them. So to me, that's the stuff that didn't resonate anywhere near as much as the backstory or the Earth stories.
What I'll say is that the trailer gave me way more Guardians of the Galaxy vibes than the film actually had. And I enjoyed realizing that like essentially the bus that they were on, that's actually directly from the book. I agree with John. It didn't need to be a whole issue, but anyway. So I really thought we were going to get that. The thing where when she puts on the outdated 80s headphones, I was like, okay, Star-Lord, we get it.
Yep.
You know, one of the things that is getting a lot of attention is actually the what they call the needle drop. And I think the music in this movie, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Brody. I think the music wasn't supposed to be for us. They wanted it to have the vibe for this character who just turned 23. But what do you think of the music? I mean, the music in the trailer was like Joan Jett, Bad Reputation, and like a bunch of songs that were kind of paint by numbers and a little too obvious. But what did you think, Brody?
I thought it fit the movie. I thought it fit her. I think they made it sound like music she might listen to.
Yeah.
So I thought it fit. I mean, I didn't expect a John Williams soundtrack. So I think at least I think that fit. Unlike some of the other things that didn't fit, I think the music fit the vibe they were going for.
Yeah.
More than the songs that were in the trailer. I agree.
Specifically, people are like, I'm being beaten over the head on social media with the needle drop, which is not the literal crypto dropping the needle on the record at the beginning of the movie. It's during the fight scene. So there is an acoustic cover of Jimmy Eat World's The Middle by Kelty Gray and Kid Motel. And I had never heard of either of those performers and may never hear of them again. I kind of liked that version of that song. I thought it was cool. It was different. It was different.
Appropriate because I mean the Jimmy Eat World version is the brother singing to the sister.
Yeah.
And that this is not the brother. This is not about Superman or the cousin in this case.
Yeah.
This is about the girl, and this is her. It's going to take some time. And I think that was approved. That version actually makes sense for her.
Yeah, and I mean, people are hammering Craig Gillespie and also James Gunn. I feel like James Gunn was probably a little hands off on this movie because it just didn't feel like his soundtrack. There's nothing that seems like it would have belonged in season 1 of Peacemaker, but I could be wrong. We have another comment from the great Eric Nagel. Trauma and mental health issues in media don't sell anymore. No one cares or wants to hear about it. I agree to an extent, but I do think that the destruction of their home world is such an important part of both of their stories. that I found it to be actually really interesting, and it gave a level to the character that, as we all kind of know, she drinks for the same reasons that Wolverine drinks, because he can't get drunk, because he has the healing factor, and just the idea of trying to be able to forget it and going all the way to a red sun where you can get your ass kicked. So there's, you got to really think this through, Kara, isn't there something that maybe was in one of the movies, John, that the suit can sort of like store yellow sun energy? Has that been told somewhere? Because I thought that was going to be what happened when Ruthie pulls it out, and I'm like, okay, she's going to get, but
no, it's the black suit that Superman wears from the Zack Snyder Justice League, and also from the comic books.
This is after he gets killed by
after Doomsday. He gets killed. It's able to absorb more sun, so he can power up faster, heal faster.
Okay.
She did make it a point to say it's just a silly costume or uniform, whatever. I will say, I would have liked to have seen her get the Supergirl costume back when she fought them on the planet. When she first found them on the planet where Ruthie was in jail and they killed the black family. Like, that would have been a good time to find her a costume or whatever, and have it on more of the movie than waiting till 20 minutes left in the movie for her to put it on. But then she would have had it on the bus ride, right? Because the bus ride was after that.
Yeah.
And then they would have been like, oh, but I don't think they would have recognized her anyway. So,
but Brody, she had that Blondie shirt from Target, so obviously she needed to wear it. I don't understand.
Badass. Name 3 Blondie songs. I can't. I just bought the shirt at Target. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
That's the 15 minutes they cut.
Yeah, she's dancing to Rapture and Fab Five Freddy shows up. Eric Nagel disagrees with me that James Gunn's fingerprints are all over this movie. The only thing he didn't touch are putting the titles on his name for it. I don't know. I disagree.
Devoid of humor. The movie was devoid of humor. It was definitely not James
okay, but there are attempts at humor.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. I think there was, and that was kind of the off-putting moment for me, because we're talking about, we mentioned the trauma earlier. It's like, it seemed like every time there was going to be some kind of advancement in catharsis or revelation, something silly or stupid or funny happened, or attempt to, and it was a little off-putting.
Yeah, no, I look, I agree that, listen, maybe I'm naive. I just felt like this wasn't as James Gunny as I was expecting it to be. I do want to open this can of worms briefly. The Jor-El being evil, this goes back to Superman, sending him to basically conquer the earth, but he doesn't realize that. There is a segment online, because that's a lot of my interaction with this film, that is like, oh, and they stuck with it from the first movie. They didn't even undo it. It was like, well, why would they? Because they've decided that that's their narrative for Superman. So they're going to change it for this movie because people didn't like it. I agree with Eric that Eric Nagel, I don't know that I feel like I like it, but what do you think about it, John? And I'll ask each of
you. Mean Jor-El being evil?
Yeah, the sending his son Kal-El to basically dominate.
I absolutely hate it.
Okay.
I mean, and that is one of the things that I hated most about last year's movie. And again, it kind of goes back to this is what happens when you've read DC Comics for 47 years now. When Jor-El has never been like that in any kind of main continuity storyline. It might be in an Elseworlds story or something like that, but for them to do that in the movie, it just ripped my heart out as far as that character goes.
You made me feel a lot better. I've only been reading comic books for 43 years. Brody, what do you think about this idea that is again touched upon in this film? The idea that Krypton wants to go out and conquer.
It's a what if episode, right? It's a what if comic book.
Sure.
It's an Elseworld. It's basically Invincible, the cartoon. It's already been done better. To me, it makes it more, it gives them something to be like, to overcome, right? It gives him something to like think about, but he's going to think about it for like 10 minutes in the first movie. It's never going to get referenced again. So to me,
it was referenced in this movie though.
I mean, in terms of Superman movies, it's never going to be like, he's never going to give a speech like, and my parents, they wanted me to conquer all of you. I hope you appreciate the fact I haven't conquered you. Right. I mean, He's not Homelander. We've seen that. So
Yeah.
it was to me, it was an ambitious thing to do somewhere else. It'd be an interesting story, but not in the main timeline. Don't mess with my Superman, right? Especially if you're going to mess with my Supergirl. Don't mess with my Superman. He is pure of heart. He was sent here for good reasons. He was sent here to be a leader and to help out the planet. Don't screw with history. Just don't.
Well,
to me, that was terrible.
That sort of approach seems to start with the Richard Donner Superman, and I think it's because that's how Brando wanted to play it. You know, I mean, I could be wrong about all of that, but it seems like, you know, the Kal-El as Jesus kind of originates from that moment in time. But Eric Connor, not Eric Nagel in the chat, Eric Connor, what is your thoughts sort of on this, of what we're talking about, this idea that Superman was supposed to basically enslave all of us?
Well, I want to echo what Brody said by saying, don't F with Plastic Man. That's the one that's my, like, leave him alone. Don't touch him.
Yeah, he's malleable.
Leave him
He's
wrapped
malleable.
in plastic.
His character's malleable. You can
yes, he is.
do what you want with him.
So I have a theory that recording, remember, initially he just knew the beginning of the recording, which is like, hey, do good things. And then the second part of the recording is, so you could take them all over. I think there's a third part of the recording they'll just eventually play, like, oh, we're just kidding. Don't worry about it.
JK.
Have fun. Because
they're going to find a way to retcon that.
Yeah, because I think what they'll do, they'll retcon it by just sort of walking away from it. I was surprised it came up in this movie at all.
I think it may have been AI.
It does actually sound like
news.
Fake.
Yeah. Well, because also too, I mean, it would have to. I mean, it's one of those, like, if they're going to use it, they could have. I would have understood in kind of Man of Steel when Zod comes in. Zod's like, dude, I mean, let's team up. Like, I respected your dad. Like, let's get it on. It would have made sense there, or it made sense if that fed a story about that, but it doesn't. It's just like a weird side thing. So it's like, okay, I really actually like the star of the movie Heavy, who plays his father in this. That's the guy who's his real dad. And I think and Beautiful Girls. I don't want to forget about his work as the bartender in that. So that's his real dad, and I'm here for that.
I'm a huge fan of Beautiful Girls, the film
by Van Halen.
No, by INXS, but same difference. We're having fun here, aren't we?
Stay with me.
And you want this to be the next DCU film is Plastic Man, right, Eric?
I love Plastic Man, and I'm still mad. The great comic book store House of Secrets on Olive, they had a Plastic Man bench. Someone stole it.
No, I was back there like last week. Did they just?
Wait, they got it back?
Yeah, they had it back. Yeah. So maybe they got it. Maybe someone gifted them a new one.
They paid the $3 ransom, so they got it back. You're okay.
They bought him bags. They gave him bags and board for half off, and that was all it took.
All right. So,
yes.
Mr. Sky Parker, what are your thoughts on WB/DC prioritizing Deathstroke Bane to film next in mid-2027, an R-rated action battle royale style film with Deathstroke and Bane versus other villains? I've heard that that's what they're doing next, and let's keep in mind that the next entry we're getting is Clayface in the fall. But I think that that's probably a mistake to do this early, just like I said about the last iteration of DC Universe on screen, that the Superman versus Batman movie should not have been the second movie that you did. It probably shouldn't have even been the fourth movie that you did. And John, I know how many times, I know that you saw the Whedon cut of Justice League 7 times. They rushed to that in a way that they never should have. The Avengers worked because we cared about everybody from their own movie except Hawkeye, because nobody cared about it. But you know what I mean? We cared about the rest of them.
I've said it many times before. The biggest villain in the DCEU was not Darkseid, wasn't Lex Luthor. It was the Warner Brothers executives.
I agree with you on that. So people might ask, oh, should I watch Supergirl? I think it is an enjoyable story, but you've heard all the reasons why you might not want to enjoy it. I think fairly soon it's going to be on HBO Max, if I had to guess. Like, what is it, like 45 days we might get it there?
Oh, so I was going to put it at 45 minutes with the way the box office is going.
Yeah, it'll probably be available for digital purchase before too long. But I have definitely been disappointed by some of the movies this summer. Some that we've talked about on my show, the Blackcast. But Toy Story 5, that's what I'm telling everybody to see, because it was unbelievable how amazing it was. So that's the takeaway there. John, I want to thank you for being here, and I feel like it's dinner time where you are, and or maybe even you. That's good. That's smart. But where can people get more of your insights, and if they have questions for DC reading lists like I send to you sometimes?
Yeah, they Raging Rhino podcast, and in fact, I just did my review of Supergirl, dropped it yesterday. If you want to hear, more about, kind of just my whole thought process, the one before that kind of covers my feelings after watching the trailers for both Supergirl and Lanterns. And also, a couple of months ago, did a review of every DC movie ever made, and I ranked them, from my least to most favorite.
Oh yes, that's right. I remember you told me that you did that, and there are surprises. There are surprises on your list, right?
There are surprises on the list. I think number 14, number 35 will probably be the biggest surprises. But just to kind of start you off, as I said many times before, the absolute worst DC movie ever made is Return of Swamp Thing.
Well, I was going to ask, was Steel your number 2 or number 3 favorite DC movie?
Let's see. I think Steel. I think it probably ranked in the low 30s somewhere.
I don't want you to give too much away, John, but is Richard Pryor in your number 1 movie?
It is not, but that it ranked a little bit higher, kind of because of him. Because I have my own personal. It's all my own personal feelings. I'm not going to say that I have any kind of objective criteria. It's all subjective. But yeah, Richard Pryor. He scores extra points. He pushes that movie up the list a little bit for me.
What about Wonder Woman 1984, which was the entire plot was based on date rape?
Yeah, I know, right? A
woman wrote and directed it. Explain that one to me.
Yeah, and the character Wonder Woman, the kind of character she is, and she's actually okay with that happening. Yeah, that is definitely one of the bottom tier lists on the list easily.
And then she sees the guy at the end of the movie and she winks at him like, I took advantage of you when you were in a coma. I slept with you.
Like, you may not remember me, but I already know what you look like naked.
He was saving himself for marriage, and he doesn't realize now he's not a virgin anymore. And he may have gotten her pregnant, but that's okay.
Enjoy Amazonian gonorrhea, dude.
Yeah.
Brody, weren't you in an improv troupe in college named Amazonian Gonorrhea? And Brody,
should I answer that in the form of film noir?
Yes.
Yes, and
Brody, where can you be found?
You could find me on the Brooklyn Boys podcast, which is the logo back there. And if you have that picture that Eric sent out,
you can bring it up again now, Eric. Sorry, my screen was getting funny. Yeah, I know.
Keep going.
You keep talking, Brody.
That's okay. So find me on the Brooklyn Boys podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And as often as Christian will have me, you'll find me on this network somewhere. So
yeah, well, I can't wait until the beginning of October when we do our Major League Baseball season wrap up and playoff preview. We might have to go 3 hours, but that's not here.
I have the predictions and all the arrows of all the ones we got wrong.
Oh my gosh,
it's not even close. We had the Mets in first.
Yeah, I know. It's good times. Good times. All right. And Eric Connor, where can you be found apart from great shows on the Geekscape network like the Geekscape Book Club?
Yes. Well, I'm happy to always go around. Also Geekscape News, and I'm trying to start Geekscape After Dark, would just be me alone in a back room. And you could find me at I'm flipped. So you could catch me at Fid or Biff which is the Burbank International Film Festival, coming you live from our offices in sunny downtown Burbank. Always lovely. I'll be hosting a preview event at our Buena Vista Library July 14th, and our festival runs August 2nd to 8th. And I will have the luxury, the privilege, the honor of interviewing the real ice cream man, not the Eli Roth one, the real one from 31 years ago. Of course, we're talking about Clint Howard. That's going to be one of our late Thursday night screenings, and it's sponsored by Baskin & Robbins in honor of the 31st anniversary. Everything's coming up, Connor.
You know what? I love that.
Nice.
And of course, the great Clint Howard, who is practically neighbor to both of us because he lives right in between where, I don't want to dox him, but he lives right in between where both of us live.
Well, if you pull up the character he played on the original Star Trek TV show, he looks like Chaka and the kid from it's the same character
from Mad Max. Yes. And
Mad Max, yeah.
Well, Brody, I know you have to go drink some Tranya. And that is much appreciated. I want to thank both of you for being here to talk about the movie. I'd like to apologize to our affiliates because we did go long tonight, but in a moment, we'll be joining the Geekscape Book Club already in progress, but I felt like one of you had something else to say.
Yeah, I just have one more plug I forgot. I'm the new host of my new podcast, the It's Not Eric Nagel podcast. So check that out.
Oh, what do you talk about on there?
How it's a much better podcast than the original one.
Oh, that's probably fair. And you know, what better note to have than great job on this incredible live stream. And I could not agree more. Again, thank you to John Nolan, the Raging Rhino, David Brody, America's fourth or fifth favorite Brooklyn boy. Much appreciated. Great to see both of you on here, but now there are only two. And I think our Blackcast audience is going to need to strap in, our audio audience, because I'm going to just let them have at the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. But I want to welcome all of you to the Geekscape Book Club, even though this is kind of all one big massive conversation talking about the film Supergirl, but then also talking about the story that it was based on, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And as always, I'm Christian Bladt, and with me is Eric Connor. And I wanted to ask you, Eric, how much did you know about this story, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, before I gave you my paperback with the very small print that was difficult to read?
It aged me greatly. I felt like I was in the phantom zone of my mind trying to read that. I knew nothing of this story, and I was surprised at how much the movie did adapt this. I didn't realize. I thought it might be an inspiration, but there are so many plot points from this book that make it over to the film.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of what I enjoyed about reading it. I'm glad I did it in this order, because there you can make the case about reading the book before you see the movie, so that you know how it differs from the source material. But I found it to be kind of interesting, some of the choices that they made. And we're going to talk about it. And I can't think of a change that they made for the movie that I preferred in the book. But as we talk about it, maybe I'll be reminded of something. But there's a lot. I think that the story works so much better here. I like kind of the idea of Ruthie, her dad, being someone who makes the weapons, and that's why he's there, instead of this whole and I was just trying to get people to talk badly about the king, and he actually didn't talk badly about the king, but he disrespected me, so I killed him. Which, is a choice. I just felt like that backstory works better. And I do understand all the criticism of the movie that this is not the villain that you're necessarily looking for. But once you take a look at this story, you're like, well, that's kind of what we're going to get. They actually, I thought, made him and his group basically more interesting and more levels to it, and honestly more horrific. But your thoughts as you begin reading Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, Eric?
Yeah, it's even after we just spoke about the movie for close to 2 hours, because I mean, listen, this is why you come to the Geekscape world, is to watch four middle-aged cis white men, some with beards, talk about Supergirl. Our
Yeah.
combined 200 years on this earth, I think, brought a lot to the discussion. It added nothing to my understanding of the villain in the movie. Nothing. I still, I know he's a bad dude. I know he steals stuff and kills people. Here, you're right. It's like the villain and their sort of whole thing. I got more of a sense of it. Still not necessarily the most exciting of villains. But I at least felt like, okay, we got at least a sense, a tangible sense of what they were up to an extent. But so a much better portrayal here on page than on screen, especially with the weird metal balls. It's all ball bearings now, Christian. That's his face as a villain was just ball bearings, which I
Yeah.
guess is intimidating.
Yeah, so the design of the character I was baffled by, and I agree with you on that. I think, the character from the book, yes, it is definitely a stylistic choice. And the brigands are a little bit more of, in the book, they feel a little bit more like a Captain Jack Sparrow pirates, and
Yeah.
here it's more like a Mexican cartel. And he's the El Chavo of of
Right,
the
right.
gang. And but essentially it is the same story in that her father is wrongfully murdered, as opposed to all those rightful murders that are out there. No, but through no fault of his own, that Krem decides to take him out. And I mean, it's really what the inspiration for the story is the film True Grit, which we have multiple great versions, I think,
Yeah.
of True Grit. And interestingly enough, that Tom King, who wrote this, initially saw this as Ruthie finding Lobo and trying to hire him to take them out. So Lobo, not in the comic book. And yet Lobo finds his way back into the movie, which I
Yeah, yeah.
find to be kind of an interesting, sort of a switch in bringing him in there. I did not feel, as I read through this, that Lobo was missing from this story. What did you think, Eric?
Yeah, it's because I think part of this too is that you bring up True Grit, which totally has so many similarities to a young girl looking for vengeance, hiring someone with questionable scruples and morals to take care of the task. I do think, though, the book is almost like the Odyssey. It just they're looking for him forever, and so much of it is like philosophizing. There's a sense of ennui. Like these characters are just kind of lost in the galaxies trying to find him, and so I think like Lobo comes in like a rocket ship in the movie. And it would have felt very out of place in this book because the book's tone, its style was much more kind of languid. And so I think like Lobo's kind of like punk energy would have not quite worked with this book. It would have felt strange and out of place. So yeah, I think it made sense that Lobo wasn't here. It made sense to put him in the movie because the movie definitely benefited from him. But I think
Yeah.
it would have hurt it more than helped than on the book.
No, but then I do find Supergirl as really an interesting choice as an alternative.
Mhm.
It's not my familiarity with the character, who, again, that familiarity was very limited. Really, still fairly is. But
It's more for me, movie and TV show, like the original
Yeah.
Helen Slater one with Faye Dunaway, of course, and
Of
a never
course.
never better Faye Dunaway, and then the TV show, which I watched some of, which was quite good. Melissa Benoist, however you pronounce her name, like she was good, and they made it well. So I never really sought out Supergirl as a comic as a reader.
Yeah, no, it was not something that I was necessarily, really exposed to much. I mean, I read Crisis on Infinite Earths during the pandemic. That's how the Geekscape book club came about. My buddy Jeff
Right.
Winstead, who's been on here, felt like I really shouldn't talk about something I'd never read. And one of the first conversations he and I had, I was talking about how much better Secret Wars was. And yeah, that was the bluster of the 9-year-old in me who had read Secret Wars. And then reading this is like, well, Crisis on Infinite Earths is consequential and it's epic in its proportion. The Marvel Super Secret Wars was to sell toys. Literally it was to sell toys. So I have the appreciation, and as when we talked about the film, our friend John Nolan brought up the death of Kara of Supergirl in that book and the death of Barry Allen, the Flash. I mean, those are the moments. It's unbelievable that these things happen, and they stuck for a while for comics, but nothing lasts forever in terms of death.
But no one ever stays locked away in Arkham Asylum. No one ever stays dead. It's and also bad guys become good guys, and nothing's set in concrete no more.
Yeah. As we talked about the movie, there was a little bit of a conversation about, Kara and the pain that she experienced, and then this is a younger version of the character, I think, than people are used to. She turns 21 here. In the movie, she turned 23, so it's a world of difference. No, I think that they probably just felt Millie Alcock probably didn't look 21, but 23, sure, why not? It's an interesting choice. But she turns 21 here, and she's got that pain of Krypton that Kal-El, as we know him, Superman, he doesn't remember it. He was a baby. But then as we get in the movie and we get in the book, we really get to see what life on Krypton was like. And I know there was a Krypton TV series, but I'd be lying if I said I watched it. So I didn't know that much about what it was like. I only know from the different movie versions, the little bits that we see, like in Man of Steel. So I don't know that much about Krypton. So I found that to actually be kind of interesting. And, sort of the way that you ironically save everyone, her dad does, but then there's basically the radiation poisoning that takes out a wave of people, and then the next wave is going to go, so he's going to send his daughter away. And I don't know, I find that stuff to be interesting. What did you think about really building the foundation for this character, especially since you and I don't have the attachment to the, I don't know, decades worth of history that she's had?
Well, that notion of the sort of long lost relative, that's big in comics, big in TV. It's a constant sort of, it's like, oh yeah, cousin Oliver shows up. So here, she's not Scrappy Doo, she's not Oliver, thank God. She's interesting, and I think that idea that her dad postponed the inevitable. Superman was a baby, planet goes boom, and that's it, which sucks, but it's different than she witnessed people die over years. She was already like a teenager when she got sent away.
Yeah, she's in both versions she's a teenager. I don't think we know. Is she 13? Is she 15? And we don't know. But yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And I think like it really is interesting, because you could then see almost the dominoes falling and how it would take longer for her to. So, Superman got incubated perfectly. He was like a perfectly cooked turkey. By the time he arrived, he knew so much about everything, and he was already a little kid. And then he, spent all that time in the Fortress of Solitude, getting his post baccalaureate, work, so he could get the credits needed to be Superman. He was educated in a way that made sense, that enabled him to be who he was supposed to be. That's not the case with her. And I think like that plays pretty well in both the book and the movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you sort of the family lineage is something that factors in the book more so than it does. I like that she runs into people who have grudges with Superman, which absolutely makes sense. The planet with the green sun that we get to towards the end was designed to hold him prisoner so that he couldn't get away. And we have an image for our visual audience here of someone who shows up with a gun and is like, because if you're related to Superman, then I'm going to kill you. And she could have the way out. It's like, no, that's not me. But drunk Bender Kara is actually looking for a fight, and I think that that's the part that translates well for this story and for the film itself. I like getting sort of those connections, but also the thing that I gave the film credit for. Superman does not come and rescue her. He does not fight her battles for her, which I think is so important that that's not what happens in either version of the story.
And he tries to reach out to her, which I think is great too, because you see he does care about her, and yet she mocks him, she ignores him, and then finally comes around when she's ready. Oh, this image, I say for our radio audience, it's her Greedo Han Solo Cantina moment.
Except it really is.
I was trying to understand, what did she do to him? Like that image in the right panel, is his head turned into just bones shattering? Like I wasn't sure. And I'm like, is this really violent or is it not really violent? I couldn't tell.
I think she just gonks his head as a callback to an earlier conversation. But I know it did kind of look like that she might have shattered it, but I don't think that's what she did. I do think it's it's listed as a grunk, which is actually my favorite Mudhoney song. But in any case, I want to talk for a moment because we're cycling through some of these images for the aforementioned radio audience that a lot of the books we talk about on the Geekscape book club, not even a lot, but there have been a few times where the story has been top shelf and then the art has left something to be desired. I thought that Bilquis Evel is the artist on this, and it is very stylized. It is a unique style. It's a little Walt Simonson-y, but I find it to be beautiful. And again, we're sort of getting this reproduction of it. It's not on newsprint, and really by the time this was published, they weren't really putting comic books out on newsprint. But so images like kind of the one we have here where she's got the sword and Krypto's with her, I felt that this book was beautiful. What were your thoughts, Eric?
Yeah, it has kind of like if you didn't know it was 2021 when they started with this, you would have actually thought it was older, because it kind of.
I'll just interrupt. I had to look up because I didn't realize it was quite so recent. I thought it was from the 90s. Yeah.
It has almost like a 2D quality in a computer animated kind of world, where, not saying of course comic books are computer animated, but that notion of the sheen and the polish of more modern comics, this one does have a more of the hand drawn kind of quality, the hand inking kind of quality, and it was funny too because they make her, where the movie I thought did a really nice job with how they stylized the character. She did look like a kind of a drunken hot mess more than once. She's very pretty in this.
Yeah.
So she doesn't, this image here, her hair actually looks like it went through something, but more times than not, she's drunk as a skunk. She's vomiting. She's not so much pee in the book. Sorry for those who were looking for it.
And we know that we have a segment of the audience that was looking for it. Yes.
We know who you are, and we can name check you, but we won't.
You may or may not have a podcast called the Brooklyn Boys. I don't know.
And so here she actually looks usually very pretty, very almost like an old-fashioned way of drawing a female character. The way they drew her, not in the sexualized kind of 80s way with massive parts, but rather more the sort of softer sort of drawing of a female character that they did throughout this with the eyes and the eyelashes.
It's funny that I guess it's more of a sad testament to just sort of the state of the genre, the state of the medium, the state of comic books, that it's like, yeah, you know what? They gave her modest bosoms, and we appreciate that, because that's kind of the thing that I remember about comic books is, boy, all the women had huge racks, and like comically so, you're like, all right, I get it, settle down, but yeah,
not a spinner rack we're talking about here.
No,
we're talking about a very different kind of rack. Yeah, and it was the variant covers, a couple of them drew her like, with I believe the scientific term is gazangas.
Yes, I believe they are Major League Yabos. I've heard a lot of these terms before.
Right.
Yeah. but yes, and I think that there is some of that. But to your point, that she does tend to be sort of more like classically beautiful. It's because of the simple fact that this is, this is an established character who I did look up, and she has in fact been around for, get ready for it, 67 years. 1959 is when Supergirl was first introduced. And interestingly, I looked it up. And so her first appearance is Action Comics number 252, which is crazy that you had that high a number in 1959 before there was a single Marvel comic book. But I digress. So her debut story is called The Supergirl from Krypton. And this landmark issue established her origin as Superman's cousin who was sent to Earth from the surviving Argo City, and this is the secondary part, before being adopted by the Danvers family. Not Carol Danvers. They're not sisters because it's different IP. But in a lot of ways, you kind of feel like sisters. But
I think they'd get along.
yeah, I mean, they both like to fly, so there's that. But yeah, and so I think that that's the contrast for the comic book, is that she's gonna kind of look like she always has. This is a very specific artist's interpretation, but I find it to really be kind of a little bit striking. And yeah, I think Millie Alcock, in the middle of the month-long birthday celebration, Clark references it. It seems to be taking for a while, but even still, we get moments like our visual audience is seeing, where she is throwing up in a bucket, which, imagine someone owns the original page of artwork of this. They're like, yeah, I'll spend a few grand on Kara vomiting in a bucket. And Ruthie's, that is actually the sound effect. And I do like Ruthie's commentary. Please take your time. I can wait.
Wait, Christian, you mentioned you put your hard-earned money, you get, the one panel that's signed by the artist. It's her vomiting in a bucket. When Phantom Menace got released on special edition VHS, because I'm that young.
Yeah, I had it as well. Yes.
What was your 35 millimeter panel?
I actually, you know what? I don't remember, but I know I got one. I forgot about that. Yeah.
I bet it wasn't better than mine, which was Shmi Skywalker, the mother, who apparently got it on with God because there is no father. And it's her standing in front of a wall. So of all the images you could have gotten from Phantom Menace, all those great moments of Watto, who is my spirit animal, I got Shmi standing in front of a wall.
Yeah, Watto's one of the more problematic characters who hasn't aged well, but we'll talk about that on our Phantom Menace 30th anniversary retrospective in 3 years' time. When we were talking about the movie, our friend John Nolan did reference that, sort of the bus trip, the Greyhound of the Stars, took a while. I did find it to be interesting. I found a lot of these sort of standalone stories were kind of wonderfully told. That yes, they're sort of like one-offs in a way that if this were an ongoing monthly book, that you'd almost think like, oh, this is a fill-in issue. The basically the planet where the upper class was like, well, we're going to go ahead and let them, basically destroy the lower class just for fun to keep us alive. And, sort of some of the different planets they encountered. I did find it to be interesting, but that's where we come in with what I think is such a better storytelling device from the movie, that not having Crypto actually injured, and she spends like 8 months with Ruthie, maybe longer. I feel like it's months. I don't know that it's a year, but it is a very long time. And just kidding, Crypto is actually not hurt. The fact that in the movie she's got 3 days, I think really adds a sense of urgency,
and she keeps going back to that. She has the watch, because I like the idea of the futuristic watch. It tells you when something is 3 days away.
Yeah, it's a futuristic sundial. That was how things worked on Krypton, Eric. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, no, I want your thoughts on that change.
Oh, I mean, it is one of those, like, so much of the beating heart of the movie, is that, yes, her dog was like her one memory of home, right? The one thing from home that's still in her mind alive. Now, yes, you could say, well, Clark, but she didn't know Clark,
She didn't know Clark. Yeah, he was a baby. Like
yeah,
she probably never met him.
no, she had no reason to. So the
Yeah.
idea of the one thing, and that's something that's, oddly relatable, is that idea of like you have something that isn't important maybe to others, but is important to you. Now, I don't know if she should allow, I don't know, a family and a young girl to be murdered at the off chance that she could save her dog. That seemed like a strange choice to make in the film. But in the book, right, it is completely, as we would say back home, watered down, that it's 8 months, 9 months, 10 months for her to find what? I'm not sure.
I,
In the book, it
I,
was kind of unclear, actually.
I was so shocked at the pacing of the book.
Yeah.
And look, you don't have to use the same, oh, it's 3 days. I think that works really well for a movie. You you get, hundreds of pages with really small print in the version that I loaned you that I would tell you to give it back for me, but it's so small, you might never find it again. So,
Well, I love too, the book itself was small.
yeah.
Like usually, the compendiums are normal, kind of, there's a certain size we're used to. So I picked it up. I'm like, wait, did it shrink? Like, did Christian do something with this?
So it went through the dryer. There was a regular size version that I could have bought, but this one was $10 cheaper. So that's really what it came down to, was economics. But
I tried mightily to read it, so I actually got it. Comixology Unlimited, for those who have that. You could rent this for free.
yeah. Oh, you can. Okay. Yeah, I've had that in the past, but I felt like I wanted to listen. I bought this from Barnes and Noble because I was like, oh, I'll have the book. I had the thought that maybe my daughter would see this, which she can, just not for, I don't know, at least 5 years, probably, somewhere in that range. It's going to be a minute.
Keep her innocent as long as you can.
Yeah, no, believe me, I'm in no rush. I knew what I was doing. I took her to see the Marvels, so yeah, I think that we're kind of really taking our time with the story, and to the point that I was making is that it's basically like 175, 180 pages, and you can tell the story more deliberately than I think it's like an hour 45-minute movie, but I just didn't think it would need to be quite so long. But I guess if they're really having these sojourns on the planets, and I think that they're very interesting stories, I guess that had something to deal with it, But I'm glad. Go ahead.
Makes you wonder? Yeah, I'm sorry. It makes you wonder though, why have the crypto story at all in the book when it's not really used as an engine? It's sort of, it's like a domino that hits, but then you don't really get it hitting lots of dominoes. It just kind of hits one, and then it's like, all right, now we're gonna go search for him. But it's like, okay, it's been 8 months, 9 months. She doesn't really mention crypto, and then that does the like twistaroo at the end. It's like, oh, I was lying. Crypto's fine.
Yeah,
which was just strange, because then it's like, well, why have that? What did it add?
I
In the
mean-
movie, it added a lot, actually. I mean, the movie, James Gunn, his one fingerprint on this, right? He, as Guardians 3 showed, he's not above putting cute animals at great risk.
Yes. Yeah, that is a great point. I appreciate that the chat is still with us so that they can kind of say hi. My friend, the One Pun, great to see you. Hope we're offering a fun distraction here. And Butter Dick Jones comes back and says, "Hey, Pun," and we get sort of the devil horns. And we appreciate the fact that these people are all here. And I hope that this is a calming influence on our friend, the One Pun, as we talk about, Supergirl here, the woman of tomorrow. I like some of the characters we meet along the way. This is not Rosie, the quicker picker-upper waitress from the Bendix Diner on Route 46 in New Jersey. I do kind of like this character, though. I heard you, and I'm asking you about your order. Maybe you should focus on that and then get on your way. It's like, oh, I've feel like I didn't realize she'd gone to a Friendlies.
Kiss my space grits.
Yeah, by the way, there's a little in this world that I love in the same way I love a fribble. So no ill will, Friendlies.
Watermelon roll all day, all night.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it is a very colorful book filled with tons of interesting characters, and I like the stories that it tells us. You know, the slice of life from this wide universe that they have to travel across.
Yeah. I don't know if
Go
it
ahead.
needed to be 8 issues.
No,
think
I think that this was a solid 6-issue series.
I agree.
Yeah. But you know, there's a lot of things in here that you know, I feel like if this were, you know, an 8-part arc in an ongoing book and then they were replaced by another creative team after, I don't know, like a couple more arcs like this, it sort of fits that you do this, you know. But this is a mini series,
Right.
so
Right.
why is it quite so long, you know? And I'm not entirely sure, but I did enjoy it. I just felt like less would have been more, you know. And you know, I like this idea that Kara is able to, you know, this feels like the the great Saved by the Bell episode about caffeine pills. I don't think that Kara had seen this at this point, so she didn't know that you know, it's a dark road you go down when you start being a pill popper, Eric.
Oh yeah, that was one of the very special episode motifs of the 80s and 90s was how many, including Alex P. Keaton, who got addicted to reds and blues and greens and purples. So yeah, no, it's a slippery slope there, Kara. Don't go. It's the devil's toys. Like, don't do it. Don't fall for it.
Yeah, I mean, even the great Mike Seaver, played by Kirk Cameron, was offered cocaine at a party. So you know, she's just willfully doing this, and I don't know, Ruthie, you shouldn't be you know, such an enabler. I do like their dynamic probably more in the book because of the simple fact that they get to really tell more of it. You know, you can really put a lot of time with it, and we get to see more of the ups and downs, pun intended, actually pun not intended, but pun appreciated. The ups being, you know, sort of her on Kara's back while she's flying. I don't know, I found it I found their friendship to be more genuine and not really just sort of a forced partnership like it was in the film. What did you think, Eric?
Yeah, well, I think also too because Ruthie has more real estate in this. Like she's narrating the story actually much more than we get to know her really well. Her point of view, her response to everything is what leads to storytelling here. So I think that's the big difference between this and the film. You know, the film still, even though she gets the ball rolling, in the end of it all, it really is, you know, Kara's film. And this one, not as much actually. It's very even, and you see the bond feels like it takes time. I mean, that's one thing about it being 8 months, 9 months is it's not just like 1 or 2 montages and we're there, but rather it takes her a while to let her in, to trust her. This one, by the way, is one for our radio audience. It's the classic stopping a bullet at point blank range, and this one was visually kind of interesting. It's in her eye. They did this in one of the Superman movies too. Literally, the bullet's in her eye, and it's just like she flicks it away like it's nothing. And her steely glance when doing this is pretty great. It's sort of dead on for what we know of Superman's powers, but also of this character's purpose.
Yeah, no, I find a lot of the shows of Force, you know, the power that she has, I find it to actually be, you know, it's definitely fun and it's interesting. Some of the ways that we get to sort of see what Supergirl can do, and I mean, yes, it is basically. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the exact same power set as Superman has. You know, I don't think there's any differences, anything else that he has. What did you think about this device of sort of those globes, which I have to actually look up what they were called? but that basically teleport her very far away.
Yeah, they started getting into some weird magic.
When they call it magic, and that's why her powers don't work against it. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I guess, yeah.
Remember, I didn't. Wasn't there some movie? I think it was in Superman 3, the movie where he got a big white ball suddenly grabbed him that the machine made. Like I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like the Punisher, like that weird white orb. Yeah, that stuff got a little funky. She's riding a unicorn. There's or what some kind of space horse. So they've had some moments. There's a dragon that appears. So definitely they went a lot more sort of never-ending story, fantastical than the movie does. The movie is much more sort of James Gunn's wheelhouse of like, space rock and cantina chic. The book goes a little bit more fantastical as it rolls along.
Yeah, the Mordru globes is what they were called, and you did reference it, and I thought that it was interesting that we didn't. I don't have any images, so I'm gonna have to find one. But Peter Sky Parker was like, "Hey, wasn't there supposed to be a flying unicorn in space?
Yeah.
Supergirl's riding on a welding sword and Crypto by her side." All of those things are true, and our buddy John Nolan still with us. Comet the Super Horse of the Legion of the Super Pets. Yes, that's basically who that is. And we get Comet the Super Horse. And what did you think? Again, we're spoiling a book from like 5 years ago. The idea that it was like, oh yeah, but he was actually a man, like trapped in the body of a horse. And I'm like, what?
I often feel that way, honestly. But not a horse.
Yes. Yeah,
not more like a sea lion.
You don't really have the S sound in there. Yeah, I think exactly.
Maybe the horse's ass, but not the rest of the
horse.
Hey,
this is a family show. Come on now.
Arse.
And I don't know. I mean, it's fun for the sake of the story, but boy, am I glad that they didn't have the horse in the movie.
Yeah, I think we were okay without the horse. It got a little Lady Hawky for my taste.
Yeah, it's a nice pull, Lady Hawk. By the way, sorry. When Raging Rhino has some facts to deliver, I want to share them. That is actually the origin, that it's a guy trapped as Comet, the super horse. I like the idea that she had it. I like her with the sword, and it's different, but I just feel pretty strongly that the movie improved upon the story in the ways of how they changed the time frame. They created a sense of urgency and also had Kara invested in this. And then at the same time, they didn't have the horse in it. I'm sorry. I think it looks cool on the page. I don't think I needed the horse, Eric.
I was perfectly okay without horses or horsemans. Unless it's a BoJack.
I was just going to say,
we keep our horse and man separate. Then BoJack showed up. Sure, why not? Yeah. The movie would have gone much higher than a 6 in my book. But yeah, I think they were smart to kind of keep the fantasy elements way off screen.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of take it on through to the end. I mean, I guess, there is the climactic showdown, and it is very different than in the film. And I think that it is important that the one thing that they have in common is that Ruthie does not kill him. Here in this book, she absolutely can. She just can't bring herself to. But she has the means, the ability, and manages
she got the tools, she got the talent.
Yeah, and she's got the means. I mean, she's taken him down, really,
Yeah.
So it all would have worked, but then she can't. I think that, in the film, I kind of like the way that she just, kind of begs her to not. And I think sort of that heroic notion and the sort of more traditionally in line with the character is, well, we're going to put you in prison. Now, granted, it is the Phantom Zone for hundreds of years. And I don't know that I love that. And then if you're going to make that decision, sort of getting the epilogue that takes place hundreds of years in the future, and you get him released and he's repented. We'll talk about the different interpretations of the ending in a moment. But what do you think sort of about that setup that we're catching up with them hundreds of years later?
It's odd. I mean, and I get it. They're immortal type characters. So what's a couple hundred years amongst friends? But
Sure.
I don't. And also, Phantom Zone to me is like, even as a kid, I remember how horrific an idea that was.
Yeah.
Like, and I saw the movie when it first came out in the theater. So, like, the first scene of the movie is this brilliant, cinematic adaptation of what was just a little bit before kind of unfilmable. Like, that Phantom Zone scares everyone of like our age range. And so, hey, well, no, we're not going to kill you. We're just going to put you in the worst prison imaginable for several hundred years. It's torturous and it feels cruel. And then the question of whether or not they killed him after that is just so bizarre. So,
Well,
yeah,
we appreciate again our friend John Nolan, the Raging Rhino, because he looked it up.
Thank
Tom
you.
King says the
Okay.
creme is supposed to be like that. Was everything that I thought.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the screenwriter of the film. I guess it can be more that she didn't, she had a different interpretation of it. I just felt like she hadn't read
Which
it.
there is
I didn't get
visual.
all of that. Yeah.
Nah, there's, I guess, a visual argument you could make
Sure.
saying, "Oh yeah, they killed him." But I do think, I don't know, cutting as a epilogue. Meanwhile, 200 years in the future, oh God, thank God I'm out of there. I'm sorry, and they're like, "All right, boom." It's a, I told you not to be stupid, you moron. Like it's kind of.
Yeah.
It didn't really. It didn't put a much of an exclamation point on the
No, but
storytelling.
what I will respect in terms of the storytelling is her kind of dismissing him, Ruthie dismissing him, and not actually forgiving him. So he spends hundreds of years. He repents. He has bettered himself. He realizes what he was, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, but I don't forgive you." And I'm like, and him still being alive and having to realize that he did all of that, and she still carries the grudge. And Raging Rhino adds, seriously, though, the cane is in a left to right slashing motion, and there's a lot of stuff flying around from his body. Yeah, it's true.
It's a fluid, just which one?
Yeah. Do you still have that somewhere that you can bring it up? I know that I had you clear the deck of your images earlier when we were talking about the movie.
Yes. Carry on. I will find.
Yes, I will carry on, and I enjoy this story. I just think that the movie tells a more concise, compact version of it, and I think that the choices that were made for the movie version only improved upon it. Tom King, we read his Vision series for this show, and I appreciated getting the chance to read a DC book from him. But I don't have a problem with this. I just felt like, there were some questionable choices, and again, they're spending too much time on the journey, and but they tell interesting stories along the way, the planets they go to, and all of that, really. So
no, one thing I was going to say, I also feel like you could really see why James Gunn would have gravitated to this.
Sure.
It feels in some ways like parts of the storytelling almost feel like they're inspired by Guardians, and timeline it would have worked out because the comic that came out in 2021 easily could have been, in the wake of what James Gunn was able to do with the Guardians franchise. So some of the kind of goofier sides of like the various miscreants they meet along the way, the bus ride feels like that easily could have been in any number of Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
so I feel like you could almost see a symbiotic relationship between James Gunn, the creator, and then this title, this approach to Supergirl, and then how he would think, okay, I think that'd be a great way to introduce her. Even though he didn't write this one or direct it, but I think as the head of the studio, you could see why this would be attractive to him. as a way to introduce Supergirl.
Yeah, no, I think that you're absolutely right, and I think that this definitely. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that they were telling stories in this way, but the cynic in me almost feels like this was written to be turned into a movie. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's almost like there was a one point in time where they were saying that Marvel Comics operated at a loss just to continue generating content for the movies and TV shows to be based on. I don't know that
Mhm.
that was necessarily accurate, but it's interesting. And by the way, Raging Rhino changing his tune says, I actually don't hate the story quite as much, knowing that they didn't kill Krem. But for him, the only Tom King story he's read that he's liked is Omega Men. So I appreciate that. Yeah, listen, I enjoyed this. I had more fun with the movie than I think anyone that we had on the show. I again prefer the movie to this, but that doesn't take away from I thought that this was actually a very well told story, just a little wordier than it needed to be, Eric.
Yeah, again, brevity can be the soul of wit. I understand when you're doing an Odyssey-like tale. Odysseys are not going to be told in 90-minute intervals, as we'll all find out later this month when we go see, Chris Nolan's Vision. But
Wait, Chris Nolan's doing a movie about the Vision from the Avengers?
Yeah, WandaVision too. I don't know if you obviously don't read the trades.
Book of Shadows,
Right.
aka Electric Boogaloo. Yes.
At last. So yeah, it was long. It definitely took its time. It was a fair amount of philosophizing on these pages, but it's put together okay. This is not. I don't know if we'll ever do a sort of big ranking board of all the books we've read in the book club. But this probably wouldn't have been up very high for me, but it had its moments. So I'm glad I finally read a Supergirl.
I was going to say this is the best Supergirl story that we've done here on the Geekscape Book Club, Eric, and that's a fact, Jack. I don't think
Yes,
you
it
can
is.
dispute that one way or the other. And yes, Raging Rhino did characterize Tom King as loquaciously verbose, and he either has an expansive vocabulary or he just got himself a thesaurus, and damn it, he's going to use it. There is a little bit of the feel of that. Well. Yeah, listen. I think that I enjoyed this probably more than I'm expecting to enjoy. The book we'll be reading sort of tied into Spider-Man: Brand New Day, which is an entire era. But we're going to read Spider-Man: One More Day, which preceded it from 2007, and it is choices that I have never actually read before because I'm so opposed to the notion of that storytelling. But I'm trying to keep my mind open here and, trying to read some of the works that may or may not tie into it. The Brand New Day era is like more than 100 issues. So we won't be reading all of that, but we'll see how this sort of sets the table for that. And we'll, of course, be covering Spider-Man: Brand New Day, the film, and we are just days away at this recording from season 2 of X-Men 97. We will be covering that on the Geekscape network on our show Marvel Movie Talk, which you can also find on the Blackcast YouTube channel, but on Marvel Movie Talk. And we will be covering on July 2nd at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll be covering not one, not two, but 3 episodes from season 2 of X-Men 97. So very excited for that, and very much looking forward to what has really just been a bountiful year for Marvel content. Eric, we're getting X-Men 97. We're getting another Spider-Man movie. We have already gotten Wonder Man, and I very much enjoyed Spider Noir. We've got Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man coming by some point later in the year. I think we're getting Vision Quest this year. And, unless things go sideways, we'll be getting Avengers Doomsday at the end of the year. So it's a great year for Marvel. a great year for the Geekscape Book Club. And we hope everybody sticks around. But Eric, if you'd like people to find more of you, where can they do that?
Well, you can find me all over the Geekscapes. Count Eric Connor is my handle. And also you can check out burbankfilmfest.org. I'm on the board for that. Our fest is coming up in August. If you're in the LA area, would love to see you there.
I'm not just in the LA area. I'm in Burbank. So I guess you'll have to see me there, which is quite the great 1-8 as Beck has referred to it. And of course, the Blattcast, BLADTCAST, with just a wide variety of content talking Supergirl and recent episodes, including the author of a book about the record label Delicious Vinyl, which brought us Tone Loc and Young MC, and some fascinating connections to that story, and a roundtable of the 50th anniversary of Aerosmith Rocks. So what I'm trying to say is obviously the Blattcast is a great show, BLADTCAST. If you aren't already, like, subscribe, YouTube channel. Would love to get a few more subs on the YouTube channel. It's free. I'm not looking for anything from you other than the fact that you just give me the old thumbs up. And please subscribe to the audio podcast if that's how you prefer to do that. And a very funny comment from Raging Rhino. Vision Quest. They're redoing the Matthew Modine, Linda Florentino movie. Yes, exactly. And the fact that Raging Rhino says the Blattcast is indeed a great show. I think you would say that even if you weren't on it. But I bring you out when there's DC content. Probably going to have to talk to you about Lanterns, John. So, and one pun, no poor shaming tomorrow. Got enough on my plate right now. Listen, what you're talking about is the show that I co-host with the great Eric Zane. Who Are These Broadcasters, which is Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on the Who Are These Podcasts YouTube channel. It also exists as an audio podcast. You can go ahead and subscribe over there. And if we're talking about the channel, the network, I was a guest on the main show, Who Are These Podcasts, which you can find the latest episode everywhere you find podcasts. We talk about Corey Feldman. It's probably all you need to know. But if you know who comedian Joe Matarese is, he's factored in there. And I brought a wheelbarrow full of clips of a gentleman named Artie Fletcher, who is the biggest liar and hugest phony, possibly the worst comedian.
Law and Order's Artie Fletcher?
Yeah, he played Stan in an episode, yes. And also I brought some clips of the Hawk Tua girl, Haley Welch, which I don't think anyone appreciated as much as I did. But he's trying to make the point that she's a bad host and has a bad show, and maybe we don't need to feel bad for her.
She's big. Hold on, she's bigger than ever. What are you talking about, man?
No. I think we're in sort of the era of the Doors when they put out the album Other Voices. Because Jim Morrison had passed. So yeah, and listen, nobody's looking to spit on that thing anymore. Hawk to a girl. Anyway, so like, subscribe, everything, and you'll find me over here on Geekscape News now and then, and it's delightful. And Eric, you would agree that Paris is the capital of France?
That's what they tell me.
So we're back in agreement. Great. And at some point in the near future, want to talk about the 30th anniversary of Kids in the Hall, Brain Candy, which was just out of reach, but not so much that I can't hold it up here for the audience. In any case, we've done it. We've hit the goal. Thank you to everyone who donated Venmo, Streamlabs, memberships, gifted memberships, super chats, and Rumble rants. Eric and I will
wait. I'm sorry. Facebook stars is the only way.
Facebook stars, and Eric and I will be back for a Rumble Friday, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. So wherever you're enjoying this show, if you're checking out the Geekscape Book Club, we hope you'll be back with us next month. Because as long as they keep writing them, we'll keep reading them. And for everyone else, we will see you next time on the Blattcast.